the inaugural game of TORG Eternity. We're going to be going through the various day one adventures because they're designed to introduce not only the individual realities that comprise the campaign of TORG, but also the introductory to the game mechanics and the like. So we're starting in New York. It is a crisp spring day. It's April 2nd, which is a Sunday in 2017. You are all on a ferry boat on the East River near Manhattan. It is Sunday, April 2nd. You all have your various reasons for being here. And these are all described on your individual character sheets. One event of import today will be the first day of the Mets baseball season. It's the opening day. You know this because since you got on this boat, the captain of the boat, Captain Becky Stanton, has made everybody fully aware of the fact that it's the first day of the Mets season. She is obviously an obsessive Mets fan, because while she sits in the pilot house atop the ferry, she's had the pre-game switched on in the main lounge, and she has not taken off her Mets cap once since she set sail. And over the tannoy, in a thick Brooklyn accent, which I'm not going to do, and attempt not to offend any Americans that may listen to this at any point or another, she now said, "We'll be sure in about 30 minutes. In the meantime, enjoy the game. Go Mets!" Around you, the remainder of the crew, you're aware there's a mechanic, but you've not seen him. He's been ensconced in his engine room for the time. There is also Cam Franklin, a young boy who... He's tall, lanky, and a bit shy, and he looks like he isn't old enough to hold a job on a ferry. Most of the time you've seen him, he's been serving refreshments from a small bar on the main deck. But as of now, he's just outside checking the moorings and the ramp in readiness for alighting on the northern shore of the river. Of the other passengers, there is a father and daughter, Grady Harris, and his 9-year-old daughter, Amber Harris. I think I've just shared something I shouldn't have shared.
Yeah.
Ignore that. Just close scene one beachhead. I shared it when I shouldn't have shared it.
You can close it for all of us if you...
Yes,
I know, I need to find the right bit. I think it's this one.
Click on P thing.
Stop sharing. Is it gone?
Yep.
Yay. Right. Yeah, so there's Grady and his daughter, Amber Harris. Any of you that have been near Grady, he's in his late 20s. Immaculate beard, hair, long brown hair tied back in a bun. You're getting hipster quite strongly from Grady. He appears to be picky and smug, and he spent most of the trip pointing out any slip up the crew has made. Whereas Amber is a perfectly lovely little girl of 9. She's got long hair like her father's, a little bit more blonde streaks through it, possibly from her mother. She's been running around on the deck, carrying her a stuffed dinosaur with her at all times. She came up to you at one point, Professor Darnell, and immediately came to you and went, "You're a professor? This is Mr. Bitey, rawr!" And then immediately went running off with this like stuffed velociraptor.
I just observe her running around and smile.
And the last member of the passengers that warrants any appearance, slightly less aggressive than the image would suggest, but this is Lauren Clark, who has an expensive tailored business suit, skirt and jacket. She's spent most of the time in a lounge looking at her phone rather than the sights to either side of the banks of the river. She looks like somebody that could probably do with reducing her stress levels a little bit, but isn't really being able to detach herself from her daily work relatively well. So what are the rest of you doing while the ferry is chortling its way across the river at the moment?
Sat on my phone, playing, probably chatting to someone.
Oh, I'll talk to Wade while he's on his phone. It's so nice to finally get to spend some time together, Wade.
Huh.
You never did say how the death of your father made you feel.
What? My father's dead? Hang on.
I think Scallon's just decided why Colleen is a single mother.
Mum?
Tragedy rather than divorce is probably.
Oh my god.
Drop that bombshell on me here, thanks.
Well, you must have noticed.
Oh, he's stuffed in the corner. I thought he was just a bit quiet.
You're adopted anyway.
He's definitely not adopted. He's definitely. I mean, look at the eyes. You can tell the similarity.
Oh, I've got you a natural hair colour.
The sun this morning has been quite bright. It's been quite a crisp, clear late spring day or early spring day, depending on what time of year. Should be early or late spring in Manhattan. The boat is currently on a river cruise going down the East River. You've just passed Manhattan Bridge overhead, so you're now west of the bridge. A couple of you look up and you see that off in the distance there are some storm clouds gathering, so obviously the day's not going to be absolutely clear, but at this moment in time there's a fresh wind, and Captain Stanton's voice from the pilot cabin once again directs everyone's attention northeast, where City Field lies out of sight off behind the buildings. The first pitch is about to be thrown at the Mets opening day game, a momentous occasion, Captain, and somebody in the bar has obviously turned the television up significantly as strains of the Star Spangled Banner play from the television, but are overwhelmed by a sudden, deep, throaty, ominous rumbling from the sky that rattles the entire ship. Think of probably the deepest thunderclap you have ever felt in your lives. Just wipes out across the area. From the suddenly worsening storm above to the northeast, something black and massive falls, like a pillar of darkness, half a mile wide. Hints of thick green vegetation whip out of the torrent. The lower end of this unfeasibly large object, which is literally just coming out of a hole in the sky, disappears behind the skyline, and then the whole pillar shivers and shakes as though it had struck the earth like a hammer and then tautened. The television showing the Mets pitcher throwing the first pitch of the game. A shadow falls over the field and screams sound as the ball approaches the plate. The feed cuts just before the batter takes his swing, and a police standby screen replaces the ball game footage. Seconds later, a deafening blast erupts across the southern Brooklyn shoreline, crosses the East River and the ferry, and pounds into the skyscrapers of Manhattan on the northern shore, sending glass flying. The blast blows out the windows on one side of the ferry and causes it to toss sharply in the water. The television and everybody's phones, laptops, everything else, go dead. The shockwave is strong enough to knock you all down, and you're currently on the floor, disoriented. Please tell me what you're doing.
Oh, wait, honey, are you alright?
What's going on with my phone? Why is it all gone blank? was in the middle of a text then.
What was that? What's happening? Wait, come to me, come to me.
I'm alright, Mum. Be fine. You hold on to the side.
Kerry's Discord has cut out.
That was the effect of the blast, I think.
As people pull themselves up off the ground, you're looking around. You would have expected to be hearing car alarms going off as a result of that. Everything is eerily quiet at this point in time. The boat engine has stopped, making it even quieter. And you're looking around, and the one thing you do hear are a couple of screams and splashes coming from off the side of the boat.
What's that over there? I'll crawl over to the side of the boat, put two hands on the side, and lift myself up onto my knees and try and peer over into the water to see if I can see who's screaming.
Okay, let's see if we can get Kerry reconnected. Can't hear anyone at the minute.
Oh, that's no good.
I slowly try to get back on my feet as I'm really having a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
And try to getting up, and I can only hear the ringing in my voice, in my ears.
Yeah, it's a sort of really heavy tinnitus. Like, it's a full-on. I mean, the shock wave that came across. It was, well, none of you, apart from perhaps Dr. de Mantelang, who can't hear us at the moment, have encountered sort of explosions, but it had the feel of a sort of a concussive blast of an explosion. But are you back, Kerry?
Yeah.
Yay, we can hear you now. So, blast wave came from the northwest. Huge black object came down out of the sky, looked half a mile across, impacted the ground somewhere off to the northeast. Following that, huge roaring cacophony came straight across the ferry. Everything on the ferry is dead. The engines, and as you look over the barrier, Colleen, you can see that towards the aft and off toward the front of the ship, two people appear to have gone overboard. It's hard to tell, but you think that one of them is Grady, and the other one is Cam, the deckhand. And they are screaming and floundering in the water at the moment.
I'm going to grab a life something and throw it.
A life preserver, okay. So, yep, it's a well-equipped New York ferry. Although, now you come to think of it, you don't recall most of the paintwork being as flaky as it is at the moment, but you grab the life preserver and give me I might as well do fire combat for this one to see if you can... who are you throwing it to, Cam or Grady?
I don't think I can throw it very far, so the nearest.
Okay, so are you at the front or the back of the ship? If you're at the back, the nearest is Grady. If you're at the front, the nearest is Cam.
Grady.
Okay. So roll a d20.
Yeah.
That's a 4. Right. Now, if you were doing something that was particularly technologically rated, that might have caused something called disconnection, because there's always a risk when you're doing something that's contrary to the laws of the local reality. Which you might have noticed I've shared a different card. You now should have the Living Land COSM card shared.
Got it.
That's because currently, unbeknownst to yourselves, different rules are in play. So a 4 gives you a -6 to your bonus number. If you apply that to your fire combat total, so that'll be your dexterity plus any adds you've got in fire combat.
So that's 3 total.
So you hurl it into the water with good intention, but it lands probably a good 10 yards like downstream of Grady's currently flailing form. What's anyone else doing? Those of you on that side of the boat just saw the doctor attempt to throw a life preserver.
What does swimming count as in these skills? Is it a special skill?
It would just be your strength, basically, to do a swim.
I would probably be just sort of trying to see if I know anything from the Book of Revelation that this might be, analogous to.
Give me a religion roll.
Right.
Or faith, sorry, it should be. It's a crossover for... It'd be faith, mind, scripture.
Okay, so it's just a D20, right?
Mm-hmm. Means you roll again. Bonus number of 8.
Yay.
Add that to your mind plus faith skill.
Mind is 7, faith 3 is a 10. So 18.
That's an 18. So if you assume that the difficulty is going to be 10, which I think for any kind of priest to remember his own scripture, there's going to be an easy difficulty of an average of 10. So that's a good success. You can probably 3 or 4 verses that speak of sort of apocalypses, blasts and waves and the like of that. They're all quite common. Nothing ever really matches 100%, but you can certainly draw corollaries between each of one of them. Is anyone else trying anything for the gentleman off the side?
Is there another life belt?
Oh, yeah. You probably got about half a dozen, if not more.
I will throw one at the other person.
And me.
Okay, so that means that Isabel's going to throw one towards Cam or Grady.
One that hasn't been thrown at already.
So that's Cam, and then Colleen's going to throw another one at Hipster Dad.
Yep.
Oh, by the way,
where's Amber?
Cam's daughter is basically at the moment hanging on to the barrier, like screaming for her daddy who's down in the water. Okay, so each of you,
Cam, the daughter there.
Okay, each of you, please make me a fire combat roll. Sorry, was that...
Can't find.
What do you mean
just roll a
fire
d20.
Combat roll.
Just roll a d20. Yes, got a 17. Missile weapons, if that's one on there. Fire combat or missile weapons might be correct.
I'm not doing it, so because I'm going to the daughter.
Yeah. So a 17 is a bonus number of 4. So Officer Reyes, if you add that to your appropriate stat and skill, it's dexterity plus skill in this instance.
That's 12 plus 4 is 16.
Okay. You throw it on target. Who are you going after, Cam or Grady?
Cam.
Going for Cam, weren't you? You throw it within feet of Cam, but he seems to be, he's just panicking and floundering in the water. Once or twice in the seconds you throw it, his hand appears to grasp onto it, but then he just seems to be so panicked that he's not being able to grab on. Colleen, with your 6, if you cross-reference that on your bonus chart, 6 gives you a -4. If you apply that to the appropriate skill, what do you get?
I have my fire weapons value is 9.
So that's a 1 in the vicinity of Grady, but again, it lands probably a good 10, 15 feet away from him. Wade, as you ask the little girl, is that your dad? She's like, yeah, please rescue my daddy.
I also join them and say it will all be fine. See, they are helping him.
The little girl's good, please. He's not getting it. He's not getting it.
What's your name?
Her name is Amber.
But don't worry, Amber. We'll manage to get him out. We've got lots of people throwing things at him.
At this moment in
Comes to
time,
the
it
boat.
seems even the life preserver that's landed close to Cam, Cam seems and does not to get the wherewithal to grab the life preserver.
Okay, I shake off my sacco, the suit.
Yep,
What's it called?
your jacket.
And yeah, the jacket. And I remove my shoes, and I also remove the tie.
As you're doing that, you see Grady go under for a second and then pop up. I think he can swim, but I've never seen him swim in a river.
All right, I grab one of the life preservers, and I just let it fall down next to the boat, and then I make a straight jump, feet first into the river.
Be careful, Professor.
Who are you going after, Cam or
He's going after Grady.
Grady?
Right.
Right. For fear of derailing the dramatic process, as you jump, Professor,
Oh.
a feeling comes over you. A feeling of choices having been made. You have hope that you never really felt before, and you hadn't noticed it until now, but something else was clouding your mind that has now cleared. Prior to your decision, you suddenly realized that you were feeling more. Well, you were forgetting some of the more complex ideas that you remembered from college and university. But literally, as you leap into the water, you feel filled with just energy, closer to your true self, you think, than you've ever felt before. It's a strange feeling, but you're pretty certain that you can now do things you've never done or even dreamed of doing before. Now, I believe for you, the only change is that you can add a new skill to your character sheet called Reality that you have. A special perk called.
Okay,
So,
where to put it?
the perks, they're all on the same part of the sheet.
Okay, perks, yeah.
So on the main sheet, if you click the little red no entry sign at the top, so you can edit the list.
Sure.
In fact, you've already got a space for the perk, so just write negation in the empty bit for the perk.
Negation.
Yeah, Negation. And I've written in the reality skill for you.
Reality skill. Okay.
And you've got an updated version of your character sheet with Professor Darnell Moore brackets Storm Knight on it. So you leap in the water, energized in this new way, and you start swimming as fast and hard as you can towards Grady. So please make me a challenging strength test. Now, it is normally difficulty number 12. But the fact that you have taken the opportunity to take a life preserver with you, you're reducing that. You've got a +2 bonus to your test, meaning that you've got to make a strength check, difficulty number 10.
Okay, so I roll a d20 now, right?
Yep.
And I add plus
Roll.
2.
The bonus adds to the number at the end. So a 4 would give you a -6. Now, at this moment in time, you have been filled with energy you did not know existed before. And it's a bit weird whether you actually consciously know this energy exists or not, because it's representative of a game mechanic. You now have 3 possibilities. Now, these are listed on the front of your character sheet. Currently listed where it says hero points, but I'm changing that for possibility. One of the things you can do with a possibility, if you elect to spend it, is you can roll that d20 again and add what you get on the roll to the 4 you've already rolled.
All right.
Now, at this point in time, I'd say go ahead and do so.
Yes.
Okay, so I spent one possibility,
So just reduce it on the front of the character sheet down by 1
Yeah.
to a 2.
and I rolled the d20.
Number.
Nice.
So 20 is +7.
Add that to your strength.
It's 14.
Is that higher than 10?
Yes.
Very much higher than 10. So the professor, trailing the life preserver next to him, strikes out through the water with a strength and a vigor belying a gentleman of his advanced age, according to the photo. Within seconds, you are next to the floundering Grady. He seems to he sees you. There's a look of thanks and gratitude in his eyes, and as you swim up to him, he grabs on to the life preserver. These have obviously they have a rope connected to them, so anyone else up on deck can easily hand over hand to pull you back through. Meanwhile, to the other end of the boat, Cam is still within reach of a life preserver, but he is thrashing and screaming and yelling. What he's screaming and yelling is just he's crying out unintelligibly.
Can I get over?
You're already in the water, so you can, if you wish, make me another swim check to get. Now it's still the challenging. Well, you haven't got the life preserver anymore, so it's a 12.
Okay, it's still okay.
Did it get at least 12 or over?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 13 actually.
That's great. So the professor swims through the water towards the struggling Cam.
If I passing one of the life preservers that was thrown in, I grab it and
there's one in between you. You grab it. As you steady yourself, you can all hear Cam. Anyone on deck can hear him, and it's literally like his screams are feral more than anything else. As you get close to Cam, please make me an evidence analysis roll, Professor Moore.
Analysis. Okay, how does that work?
So you're going to be using your mind stat. Mind is usually for spotting things, perception.
Okay.
Evidence analysis is a skill that you look at the various evidence in front of you and come to a conclusion. So your skill in this case is 11 plus 2 is 13. So normally, if you are doing something that is contrary to the local reality's rules, a 1 is bad. It generally means that you lose some of your funky abilities as a Storm Knight briefly. However, looking at somebody and drawing a conclusion is not beyond the means of a living land denizen. So at the moment, that's just a bad roll. There's no particular mishap on that roll. So you don't get any information. He has a wild look in his eyes. You strive forward and ignore this. But when you get within range of Cam, he turns to look at you, thrashing, and thrashes out and just clocks you one around the side of the face. And you take 2 shock as a result of the blow.
All right.
Now, if you look under shock and wounds, you have a shock of 8.
Okay.
So if you hit 0 shock, you fall unconscious.
So I reduced this to 6 now.
Yes.
All right.
And Cam is now looking at you with a angry, wild, and confused look, and looks like he's about to strike out at you again. Now, at this point, we're going to go into combat rounds. Now, the way combat works.
Okay, well, can I use alertness?
You most definitely can. Now, you should have just got a card. Now, these are the initiative tracking cards. I have these. Each round, I will play a card. The text at the top, I'm not through yet. It's just fluff, but we can weave it into the story in various different ways. The bit we're worrying about at the moment is towards the bottom. You've got a bit that says standard and dramatic. This is a standard scene. Standard scenes are ones where the action is fast and furious, and generally the heroes have the upper hand, which is represented by the H. That's the heroes. Now, the fact it says V first means the villains, or in this case, Cam, doesn't necessarily mean he is a villain, but he's against you at this moment in time. He goes first. You go second, and that's all of you. You'll all get an action that you can do in this combat round. It's up to you which order you go in. So you can decide on the fly, do tactics, whatever you want to do. But all the villains go, and then all the heroes go. Inspiration has a particular effect that I'll go through once we actually hit the particular part of the combat round when somebody's going. But Cam, in his panicked and feral-looking state at the moment, is currently thrashing out at the doctor with his fists. So he's going to generate an unarmed combat total. His unarmed combat skill is an 8. He rolls a 20, which means he rolls again and adds.
I think you know.
Which gives him an 8. He got an 18. Can you see my dice or not?
No, but
Right,
you said
then.
20.
Yep, hang on. I'm just going to now, so we can show my rolls, just to give it the fun. You have to take my advice for it. It was a 20 and an 18, which is a bonus number of an 11.
Good luck.
His unarmed combat is 8. 8 plus 11, 19. So, Doctor, what is your unarmed defense score?
Unarmed defense score. Where would I find that one?
It will be on the main sheet and under defenses down the left-hand side.
7.
Right, so
that's 12.
it's higher. We only really worry about 5 and 10 points of anything higher. Okay. Oh, did you want to put one of your cards in your pool? Because you can do that at the beginning of combat. You literally do it before the initiative roll.
Okay, so how do I do it? I have alertness 10.
Alertness will let you spot something that somebody else hasn't seen. A hero card can act as a possibility. The Inspire card enables you to take shock off of everybody. I think that's what Inspire does. New to some of these as well. And Supporter lets you add a bonus to somebody else's attempt at something.
Okay, well, there's the hero card. I got this. Well, I don't really know what it means. So, place
a hero card lets you spend it as a possibility. Now, one of the things you can spend on a possibility is reducing damage.
Okay.
You may need that because Cam's just hit you with, you were a 7, yeah? 12 over what he needed.
Oh,
Up to 5 is a good success. 10 is a outstanding success. So his unarmed attack are just going to be his strength. Okay, now his strength is an 8, but he's rolled an outstanding success, which means I add 2 bonus dice of damage. So I pick up the d6, click my right mouse button to give it twice, and roll it. So he rolled a 5 and a 2. So that is 7 onto his damage. So that's 7 onto 8, that's a 15. Now, I now need to know what your toughness is.
7.
So 7, that leaves 8 results. Now, damage, it's always going to be, if you get 6, I really ought to put this up as a damage result. If you get 6 less than their toughness, no damage at all. Between 5 to -1 below their toughness, that's 1 shock. 0 to 4 is 2 shock. 5 to 9 over the toughness, which is he's just got, is 1 wound and 2 shock. So Cam, in his panic, has just backhanded you right across the chin with the back of his right knuckles, and you felt something crack in your chin. Now, if you were not a Storm Knight, if you had not just had your moment of crisis and become a Storm Knight, you would take a wound and 2 shock. one of the things you can do with a possibility is you can elect to spend a possibility from whatever source, be it a card or your possibility pool yourself, and attempt to soak that damage.
Okay,
What you're actually doing is your character is subconsciously changing reality to the more favorable series of events that resulted in them taking less damage than they did. So before the possibility, this is a palpable strike with the hard flat of the back of the hand cracking your jaw and probably splintering some bone and popping a few teeth.
Okay, well, I used the hero card then, right?
Right, so you're using the hero card, so what you need to do is just delete it from your hand, because we knew it was in your pool, but you've spent it. So right-click it and delete it from your hand.
Delete item. Okay, it's
Okay,
done.
that's gone. And now, to soak damage, you use, because it's not how tough you are, it's how connected to your reality. You make a reality skill check.
Okay, so that's a detail.
Spirit. So that 19 on the bonus number is a
29.
no. Just look at the 19. Don't add the skill in yet.
Okay. What?
So you rolled a 19.
Yes.
So that's a bonus number of 6. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Add that to your reality skill.
That's 14 then.
Okay. Now the difficulty for these are always standard. It's a 10.
Okay, so I passed it.
So on a standard, you remove 1 wound and all shock.
All right.
So for a split second, you felt the pain of your jaw cracking and your teeth popping, but then it was if that was like a deja vu. It didn't happen, and he still connects with your chin, but it's a glancing blow that does no palpable damage. So well done. Now that
I'm like, whoa, young fellow, I'm here to help you.
okay, that's
Calm
cool.
down.
And seeing the Doctor not succumbing to any kind of aggression in this obviously very difficult scenario inspires everybody. So when the Heroes Go comes around, which is now because there's no other bad guys, on the Heroes Go, the inspiration effect kicks in, which is probably only going to affect the Doctor anyway, because the inspiration in the initiative line, if I just find it myself, means that all characters on this side immediately recover 2 shock. So the Doctor, Professor, you wipe off the 2 shock that you have.
Done that.
Now, it's now your go, so everyone on the hero side. We can start with the Doctor if you want, or we can decide who we're going to start with. Cam is panicking, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be unable to be talked down. You don't have to deal with this aggressively or physically if you don't want. Professor, yes.
Well, I will bring the life preserver between the 2 of us and try to steer it like towards him or onto him, and hold it steady so he can finally grab it.
Okay, so you're going to try and sort of possibly even like bring it down and ram it over his shoulders, because that'll act as a sort of a possible restraint as well.
Yeah, something like this. But after his reaction, the initial first reaction, I will I'll try to keep my distance, but still try to help him.
Okay, so that sounds to me like you're going to try and do a maneuver. Now, a maneuver is a physical action in combat that isn't necessarily intended to damage somebody, but it's going to give you a physical advantage, possibly stymieing him, which gives him minuses to his roll or something else. If you get a really good roll on this, you can get what's called a player's call. You can do this on any non-combat or non-attack interaction. And if you get player's call, exactly what you decide within reason happens. So for that, do you have the maneuver skill?
The maneuver skill, I don't.
You don't, but it's off of dexterity, so that's not a problem.
Okay, so I
So you can roll it unskilled. All it means is you won't re-roll on a 20.
Okay, 16, so that's +3. I have dexterity 7, so that's 10.
Right. His defense isn't that high, so you manage to do that. You're getting it onto him, but you're not. He doesn't seem to be taking the hint, but you can set yourself up to make next attempt better. Now, what you can do, even with a basic success like that, you can choose to either make him vulnerable or make him stymied. Now, if he's stymied, his actions get a minus penalty. If he's vulnerable, everyone else's targets against him have a -2 to their difficulty. So it's very much like Savage Worlds. You're either going to make him easier to damage or to affect, or easier to hit. What would you prefer your attempt to do?
To make his rolls harder.
Okay, so you're making his difficulties harder. That's fine. Okay, what's everyone else? Oh, by the way, for doing that, you can now, at the end of your go, Alexander, you can now elect one of the cards in your pool from your hand to put into your pool. Plus, I should notice this before. If you look at the initiative card, the I'm not through yet card, can you see at the bottom it's got any written?
Yeah.
Right, that line is what we call approved action. Normally, it will name a specific action. When it says any, that means anything you do in this round, if it's successful, will result in you getting a new drama card, or new destiny. And that's exactly what you just got. You just got the adrenaline card, which is appropriate, I think. You can use an adrenaline card when you're attempting a dexterity or strength related action to give you a +3 to the result of that action. Okay? And you can play that after you've rolled or before you've rolled. It's up to you.
All right.
I've put that in your hand. Just choose what you want. What card you want to put in your pool. It can be anything other than the adrenaline card that you've only just got.
I will do the alertness one.
Okay, so what you need to do is if you just, on the hand, if you just drag the little blue doodad over to the action section, just to show that it's in your action pool, and then back over on the right, delete the version that was in your hand. Excellent. Okay, who's going to do something next?
Is there really anything else for anyone?
It's lots of things people could do. Because there's lots of non-combat. Just suggest what you want to do. You're obviously not standing there doing nothing at the moment in time.
Whose turn is it?
Anybody's. You decide. It's the hero's turn.
To the person I threw the life jacket near to.
So you were doing to Cam, weren't you? Yes. Who's the professor is now out there with Cam.
Yeah. Can I use this perk helper persuasion test removed as a condition? Can I shout, grab the life jacket?
Yeah. He's strictly speaking, what he's actually suffering isn't a condition, but due to the circumstances, I'll be fine with that. You're essentially trying to calm him down.
Well, he's not drowning because he's flailing around.
He is flailing around at the moment, yes.
So he must be panicking, I would have thought.
He is panicking massively, and he does appear to be aggressive toward the professor, sorry.
So can I persuade him to calm down and grab the life jacket?
Can I assist? Is there assists?
You can do, yeah. I'm pretty sure there are assists, but I might not have read them up entirely properly just yet. But I'm perfectly fine with people assisting. If the person who's doing, what you can do, you can either do your own non-combat interaction on the target to make them further heavily stymied, giving them an additional -2, or you can simply make a persuasion skill against a DC of 10, and if you get a success, then whoever you're assisting can get a +2 on theirs. We'll do that for now.
Okay. Well, if I assist it... Oh. I assist Dr. Vanessa.
Yeah, so you're assisting the doctor, who might need it, because she's just got a -2 on her skill total.
That's 8. then +2 for the assist.
That's if he successfully assists. So
That's
if
it.
Colleen could quickly roll a persuasion.
Okay, calm down, honey. It'll be all right. See, that's reassuring to anyone. Obviously not. My persuade is 2, so the 8 gives me a -2, so it's a 0.
Well, you actually persuasion's off of charisma, so you'd add your charisma as well, but that would only be a 6. It seems that Colleen's heart wasn't particularly in the encouraging words. You're not sure, Doctor. You're looking at Cam. He seems to be thrashing a little bit less. You're not sure if it's due to anything you've said or not. But the one thing you do notice as you're paying attention to him, his clothes are tattered. Now, one of the things you notice while Cam was walking around the deck is his uniform, his Manhattan Island Ferry's uniform, was immaculate. It was pressed. I mean, obviously he's in the water, but it's literally the sleeves are sort of. I've been on a desert island for the last 10 years, and this is the only thing I've been wearing. Level of tattered.
But we can't see any blood.
There's no blood at all. However, you both, Colleen wasn't successful, so unfortunately she doesn't get a card for her any action. But the Doctor was successful to a degree. So, Dr. Vanessa. Oh, you can both play a card from your hand into your action pool if you need to. Except you can't play the leadership card that you just got, Dr. Vanessa. And in order to play a card into your pool, just drag it from the hand into the action section and then delete the version from the hand.
Where's my hand?
If you go to the More Core section on the character sheet, to the top tab, the hand is the bottom left box and the action pool is the far right, bottom right box. So you can play any of the cards except for leadership. Leadership is the one you just got. Okay, so Reverend Marcus, you doing anything?
Yeah. I'm thinking. Well, his instinct is probably just to sort of stand up on whatever is the tallest, the most sort of podium-like thing around.
Sure. So you've headed up to the upper deck if you weren't up there already.
Yeah, if that's a place where people can hear me.
Yeah, I mean you can stand on the highest point would probably be any one of the sets of chairs on the upper deck on the ferry map.
Right. Well, if there aren't any restrictions to how far I can move, I'd just go there and.
There is normally, but it won't be a problem. We'll assume you were within your movement speed. Your move's in meters in a round, but you can run or double time. That's not a problem.
So I probably get up on that place, whatever is the highest in that area, and I say, ladies and gentlemen, we are clearly dealing with an event of apocalyptic proportions. I suggest you do what you can to make peace with the Lord. And I will be here if you need anything. And I'll probably say some words, like some, I don't know. So I might, I guess it's not a very effective, like, direct way of trying to calm people.
Okay.
Saying that the world is basically ending. But, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Is Officer Reyes doing anything? And is Wade doing anything else?
Officer Reed's looking up something at the minute.
Okay, so is Wade doing anything while Officer Reyes is looking up something?
I was initially helping Grady back onto the boat and just I put my jacket on him. I don't know if I've got a jacket, so I presume I've got some.
Yeah, you've probably. I mean, in your go, you've essentially dragged him up. The professor's obviously still down in the water, but Grady is. He's not shivering at the moment, but you put a jacket around him, and he's on the floor, and His daughter is like sobbing, but he's comforting her accordingly.
Do they seem okay now, or does he seem okay rather?
He's not going to fall off again, if that's what you mean. His clothing doesn't seem to be affected the same way that Cam's appears to have been.
He doesn't seem aggressive or anything like that.
No, he doesn't seem so. His daughter's a bit distraught, but apart from that, he's muttering under his breath about suing the ferry company. But apart from that, I mean, you've heard him say things like that earlier on. Seems to be that's the sort of thing he enjoys to say.
I'll hear all the commotion and all that shouting that was going on. Further, was that the front of the boat? Did you say?
That was at the back. You were at the front already.
Oh, I'm at the front. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, that's the one. Right. So I'll probably head down to the back of the boat. Just pure looking, nosing what is going on. Get my phone out, trying to take a video of it.
The phone's not working.
Unfortunately, it's not working.
I mean, the screen's dead, completely dead.
So I'll be trying to get it to work somehow. Turn it on and off, take the battery out.
Nothing's doing at this moment in time.
See Professor get punched. What looks like quite a big blow.
Yeah, but he seems to rally and then like surges forward with this, almost using the life preserver as a sort of a shield and trying to contain the guy.
And are the life preservers up? They're all attached by ropes.
They are all attached by ropes, yes. So there are others left.
We'll shout down to the professor to grab hold of him and the life preserver if he can, and we'll start pulling. And I'll see around me because I've got the is it the doctors near us or the policewoman?
I don't know where Officer Reyes actually is.
So the
doctor and your mum are yelling encouragement from the railing.
And I'll just
actually that railing's looking a bit. That railing, as you look at your mum leaning on it, that railing doesn't look particularly safe. It's the paint's all peeled away in one section, and you can see clear rust.
Oh, the only place I know where I am is I'm the only person that was trying to rescue one of the people, and everyone else is the other person. So. Yeah,
you were the one with the. Well, other people have come to the back where you are, so you are actually all clustered at the back now. So So that's what you're doing. Why?
Yeah, and I'll try and pull in the rope.
Okay, so you're grabbing hold of the rope, ready to start pulling.
When it's ready,
okay. Yeah. What's Officer Reyes doing?
I wish to talk to the captain and see if there's actually a lifeboat or some sort of boat in this damn ship.
Okay, so you're going to the cabin, which is where you believe the captain was?
Yep.
You can get there this round, not a problem. You open the door and you see Captain Stanton lying on the floor next to the captain's seat. All the windows on the right-hand side of the boat or left-hand side of the boat, sorry, are all smashed, and she appears to have a significant shard of glass embedded in her forehead. There is a currently small but spreading pool of blood under her head.
Great.
You've got an opportunity to do something, or we'll move on to the next round.
She did, because
no. Well, do you want to? You can test. You can check. She's moving and moaning, but she's bleeding badly.
Okay, because she says there was a big thing embedded in her skull. I thought she was dead. Right. Okay. I don't know what skill that is.
It would be first aid.
I don't have first aid, so what is
give me just a mind check to represent perception as you're looking around the cabin. Okay, you can't. You're panicking at this moment in time. Obviously, you're not remembering your first aid training that you had, and I mean, you can attempt first aid.
I don't have first aid. I don't have any medical skills.
Then you would do that off of mind because that's what first aid comes off of. DC 10. So a 14 gives you a bonus number of 1, which, when applied to your mind stat, is an 8.
Yep.
Okay. You start just trying to help the captain. You're just filled with frustration, anger that you can't get it to work. You wish there was something more you could do, and you're filled with just a surge of energy from somewhere. Again, you feel like a better version of yourself all of a sudden. Like you know different ways that you could try and do things, that you could make things work. I've just shared the Storm Knight version of your character sheet as you have your moment of crisis. The captain's blood soaking your hands almost all the way up to the elbows as you're desperately trying to save the life of this woman who may be able to do something to help the rest of the boat. You're not sure. Now, if you want to, you can elect to spend a possibility at that moment to add to that first aid roll.
Let me just check some. I don't have any, so no. I don't have any first aid, so I'm not going to do it again.
No, it's not doing it again. It's adding to the attempt you've already made.
Oh, okay. So that adds an extra. Which one though? Because I rolled 2 rolls. The last one.
The two was an evidence analysis or perception to spot something. The 14 was your first aid. It's literally as the attempt goes on and the blood's going up your arm, oh, God, and you suddenly, it's almost like you're remembering possibly an event that didn't happen, but you're remembering a first aid course that you might have taken back in the day.
Okay, I'll do that then.
So that's a 32 now. 18 and 14 is a 32. So that gives you a bonus of
10.
Add that to your mind.
17.
Okay. You recenter yourself and start again. And it's at that moment you see what you overlooked. There's actually an emergency box on the wall in the cabin. So you quickly rip that down, drag something out, rip things out. And before you've done, there's a neatly tied bandage around the captain's head. And she's like lying back against her chair and her eyes flick open. And she's like, well, thank you. And we go on to the next round. Now, I need to be able to unshare these as well as share them. Can everyone, for now, because I'm not sure exactly how to unshare them, you see the I'm not through yet one?
Yep.
Just close that.
Done.
Do I get the chance to put any cards in my little hand?
You do? Sorry, I need to do those.
Them, and then
I wasn't
there's
getting an
option.
I wasn't getting an option to not share. That's the only thing.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm forgetting things that, the good officer was successful in what she did. So she gets another card. And you can choose to put any of the other cards in your hand into your action pool, except for that one. So, second round of combat. Villains have initiative again. I've just shared it. The approved actions are any multi-action. Like in Savage Worlds, you can do more than one thing at a time. And just each additional thing you do, additional -2 to all of the attempt. Villains go first. Heroes have an up. What the up means is that this round, anything you attempt will get an automatic additional roll. So everything you do this round will have a d20 plus another d20.
So revenge time. I get the feast out.
So at the moment, as the pace quickens, a couple of things, Alexander. You see Cam, martyr card, rock and roll indeed. You don't have to play it if you don't want to. The river's getting a bit stormier. The dark clouds that were previously only over where the massive object came out of the sky are quickly spreading and filling the sky. The wind's picking up. Just give me a quick perception check, evidence analysis if you have it, Alexander. In fact, so can Dr. de Manselang, so Kerry and Skellen, Colleen.
What skill was this? I'm sorry.
It's to see if you spot something. Oh! So, Dr. Vanessa, do you have evidence analysis?
Yes.
Right. Also, you're all up this round, so everyone that's already rolled a dice, roll it again before you work out your bonus number. So the professor's currently on a 23. She will do, but she got another 20. This gets a little complicated. So we'll deal with Colleen and the doctor first, before Kerry's rolls start exploding all over the place.
Professor.
So the professor, your 23 gives you a bonus number of 8.
8.
Add that to your evidence analysis and keep that total in mind. Skellen, Colleen has a 27, which gives you a bonus number of 9. Add that. If you don't have evidence analysis, just add it to your mind stat. And bear in mind what you get. Now, the doctor rolled another 20. So can you please roll again, Kerry? Okay, so that's 41. Now roll your bonus for being up.
What, the D20?
Yep. Okay. Well, you balanced it out, but 42 is still pretty damn high on the bonus chart. That gives you a bonus number of 12. Please add that to your evidence analysis. Now, the difficulty for this was a 10. Which of you got over a 10?
Me.
How many of you got over a 15?
Me.
Did any of you get over 20?
Yeah.
So Kerry got over 20.
Yeah, me
Right.
too.
You got as well. Okay. Colleen, you're not sure, but you're certain you just saw something moving in the water. Something rather big. Sort of a shadowy shape, probably about 25 feet long. Dr. Demasalang, from your viewpoint, you certainly saw. That's a 21, yep. So mind and evidence analysis gives you a skill of 13, plus 8 bonus, 21. So yeah, you got the 20. Dr. Vanessa, from your viewpoint, you're certain that you saw something large and piscine, fish-like, moving probably about 45, 50 feet away from the doctor's current position. The doctor, from your viewpoint, not only did you see a shape moving, but you saw a brief cresting of some reptilian hide breaking the water. I'll use the alertness in a minute. Something else. You saw that without the alertness. It's about 35. You were busy with somebody else because you're concentrating on the rope.
Okay.
Your concentration, Professor, is briefly broken as Cam begins to struggle again. But he's not your previous attempt to encase him. It's not holding him firmly, but it's holding him effectively at this moment in time. What are the heroes doing? Because it's now your go. So 3 of you are certain there are things moving in the water.
All right. I try to grab Cam and start pushing with my feet against the thing that is grabbing him.
Well, no, nothing's grabbed him yet. It's
Okay,
what
nothing
you're seeing
grabs
is a
him.
way off. But yeah, so you're going to push your feet against the current. So that even though he's not actively swimming, you're sort of holding on to him and
All right. I
sort
grab
of doing
him,
an impromptu rescue attempt, sort of thing.
grab him by the neck, and I try to get to do my best to get back to the boat.
Okay, give me a strength check, please. Remember, you're up this round of something. You're filled with adrenaline. So even though you're older than 8, roll again and add because you
Can
get
I
2
ask
rolls.
the question?
Yeah, of course you can.
The new card you give it. Remember that it said the other card said any. This one says any multi-action.
Yep.
What's the multi-action?
Right. You can anytime you do more than one thing. So you can choose to shoot and punch, or shoot 2 different people, or just attempt multiple things. Same way you can in Savage Worlds.
But what does this mean? Does this mean we have to do multi-action?
No, but if you do a multi-action and succeed in both bits, you get to draw a new card. So you'll get a new card to put into your pool.
Okay, so that's second, but to how to get a new card. Okay, thanks.
Possibility counts as at least a 10.
Okay.
So you were on what? That's an 8 and a 6 is a 14. Plus 10, that's a 24.
The 24, that gives me a bonus of 8. With strength, then I'm on 15.
That's good. So you're managing to keep hold of Cam, and you're swimming as hard as you can back towards the boat. Let's cut to.
And I'm shouting, "Get us out of the water!
Get out of the water!" You're reenacting scenes from Jaws. It's Amity Beach all over again.
Because I'm reenacting a scene.
I'll start pulling then.
Yes, you're
Get us out of the water.
So what you can now do, I like you to make. You're going to need to make 2 successful strength checks to pull 2 people out.
Now, a multi-action.
If you want to try them both at the same time, you can do a multi-action. So you'll basically be doing 2 strength checks. You'll generate 1 single bonus number, but you'll generate 2 totals. You'll add that bonus number to your strength twice. So you're going to be at a -2 because you're doing 1 additional multi-action. Yeah, float check plus 20 for being a fat professor. Yes, on your back. So roll me a d20. You are up this round, so you will get to roll the dice a second time.
Yay.
So roll it again.
Yay.
Roll it again.
For it. Oh.
So that's a 41.
Yay, 12.
Now, as Wade begins to pull with all of his might, dragging these things, again, you have what you can only at this moment in time describe as an adrenaline rush. But it's more than just an adrenaline rush. You're feeling like you're more you now than you've ever been. You've got this energy against.
Sound correct?
No, back again. So in your selfless efforts to rescue somebody from the depths of the water, with now this additional threat of whatever that is moving around, your mum screamed out something that's in the water, the professor's yelling about getting out of the water. You're filled with just this feeling of hope and glory and other just feelings that you've had before, but it's now more so than it was before. So review your character sheet. You can now choose to spend a possibility on that roll if you want. By the way, if you look on the front of your character sheet, you will see you have 4 possibilities. That is because one of the perks that Wade has is Prodigy.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a core perk, which means you start with 1 more possibility than everyone else does at the beginning of each act.
Oh, my melee weapons has gone up. So I need to put that up.
Yep, just adjust it accordingly. Are you spending a possibility or are you leaving it at the 41? Frankly, you're fine if you leave it at the 41.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it, I think.
Okay, so with muscles bulging that you weren't even sure you had before, you drag them, and before you know it,
muscles.
Well, they wouldn't.
Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw these muscles.
You've just discovered muscles you didn't know you had. Let's say that they were hiding under the other muscle. Within 10 seconds, you've not only dragged them out of the water, but you've just pulled them both bodily up back onto the deck. Now, for that, you can play a card from your hand into your pool if you wish. We're going to leave the pool open at the moment. And you also, for successfully doing a multi-action penalty, you get a new card as well.
So is this the first time I've been allowed to put a card into my action? Is that right?
This is no. You already had one in there from before. I
So I could. That's what I put one in, but I didn't know if I was allowed to.
Yeah, no, that was fine. So you can. It's the second action, so you can put a second one in there.
Right. So I've gained. Okay. Plus 3. Oh, okay, I can support some. Cool.
So you drag Cam up on board. We'll cease combat briefly for that. Just to describe Cam is hunched up, pulling his arms into himself on the deck. His clothes look tattered through age more than anything else. There is a wild look in his eyes. Maybe he's in shock. You're not entirely sure. But he appears to be passive and skittish now. And he's looking around at everything with the look of a cornered animal, if you had to describe it as anything else. Meanwhile, on the upper deck...
Can I play leadership?
Yeah, you can play leadership into your pool if you want to.
Play that? No,
you can play now if you want to.
So I've got to choose 2 to give to 2 others. Is that right?
Yeah, you can choose to decide what they are, and I'll move them around accordingly.
I will give. Well, who am I with? I'm with Professor.
You don't necessarily have to. I mean, it's great if you do want to justify it in character as well.
Oh.
But frankly, because it's a game mechanic element, you can RP it, or you can just say, "Well, I want to give it to so and so, so and so." So I think it'd be good. But yeah, giving them to the professor if you want to do an interaction sized one, then that's cool.
I'll give the Professor Flurry, so he gets to do 2 actions, or an additional turn.
Okay, if you just drag it onto the... Can you drag it onto the chat? I'm wondering if when you drag it onto the chat, if it gives the link or not. It does. Professor, can you drag Flurry from the chat and put it in your own action pool?
Flurry forward.
Always do.
No, it comes up as a blank action.
Yep, it does the same for me. Okay, then not a problem. So I'll just drag. What was that? Flurry 16.
Flurry 16. Should the links work? Because if I click...
No, unfortunately, it's not at the moment. Okay. But not to worry. We'll get there. It's just a little more management at the moment.
Flurry 16. That's an elf.
Does that go into his pool or his actions? Sorry, into his hand. Or
He's playing it into his pool because of the leadership card that was used.
Yeah, but which one is that? Hand or actions?
Action.
Play into his action so he can play it straight away if needs be.
Okay.
And I'll give.
Brilliant.
So I've got coup de grace, action, or supporter. So the one I've been given. I've just been given. Can I pass that on now as well?
Not yet. Supporter, you can't. Did I just give you supporter?
You gave me supporter, yes.
You can't have played supporter into your pool in the same round you were given it.
Stop that.
Okay, so I can use Flurry at the end.
You can use Flurry at any point in the round if you want to get just another entire action.
Coup de grace seems... Oh, but then again, we're going to get into a fight. No, I'll give action 13 then. I'll give that to Mom. Sorry.
Okay, so Skellen is getting, was it coup de grace? Or action? Action 13.
Action 13, yeah.
So I'm assuming, Alexander, did you just find the relevant item in the Destiny card deck and draw it from there, yeah?
Yeah.
So action 13. I'll do that for you, Skellen, so I'll put that into your pool.
Thank you.
It says that
took it from
immediately refill your hand. I've only got 1 card in.
Right, so you need 3 cards.
Yay. Do I get rid of leadership 50 now?
You've used it, yes. Okay. Well, I've lost Wade. Wade gets Reality Surge, Seize Initiative, and Glory.
Glory, oh yeah, see Glory. Right, what are they doing?
You have to go away and read them.
Images.
I can. Can you do me the? Okay, you can't see the link on here, but Reality Surge. Basically, just to let you know, we haven't gone over world laws yet, but you're currently in the Living Land, which means the rules of the Living Land are in play. Even though you're from Core Earth, most of what you're having to do is beholden to the living land world laws. So the Law of Glory we discussed earlier for Core Earth isn't in play. However, the Reality Surge card, when it's played, for you, your world laws are in play for you. There's a surge in the rules that govern reality itself, and for a while it's as if you're still in Core Earth. Okay? Means you've got less chance of bad things going wrong for you. Meanwhile, up on the top deck, the Padre is proselytizing the end of the world, and almost to reveal his comments as possibly prescient, you look up, Badger, Reverend Marcus looks up as an airliner buzzes over the ferry and crashes into the buildings on the far Brooklyn shore. Black smoke pours out of the wreckage, but behind the crash, so because it's on the Brooklyn shore, to the south of you, you're actually at the moment you're closer to the Manhattan, the north bank. So on the Brooklyn shore, you see a thick white mist creeping out from between the tenements and buildings of Queens, spreading towards the East River.
Well,
and it is moving faster than any fog you have ever seen.
Nobody else is seeing this.
They will do, but they haven't yet, because they're all paying attention to the left-hand side of the boat, where people fell out, and at the moment the right-hand side of the boat is the one that's pointing towards the south shore, the East River.
Okay, so I figure that once Marcus has sort of preached himself dry, he's going to realize that his main duty now is to help his fellow man. So he'll go back down, probably yell something about some big, really, really quick mist, strange things.
Yeah, indeed. Once the Reverend draws your attention to that, you can see that off towards the Brooklyn side of the river, there is a heavy fog beginning to seep out towards the banks of the river. Speaking of the river, it's actually, you can see you're not the only boat on the river at this moment in time. You're probably one of the largest. There are a couple of larger boats. You can see one off to the south, which is listing and twisting quite badly. You can see evidence of smaller craft probably having already sunk. But that same mist, as you're watching it, and it's still quite a way away, the scales we're talking about here are still quite large. Dozens of winged creatures emerge from the mist that is beginning to envelop Queen and begin to whirl and dive on the boats that are towards the Brooklyn shoreline. After a couple of swooping attempts, you can see a number of these birds beginning to cut away from the groups and begin to attack boats closer and closer to your position. What are you doing?
What is this madness?
How far is
certainly not normal.
How far is the ferry from the shore or the dock?
The ferry is currently probably a good 300 to 400 feet from the Manhattan shore. It's certainly closer to the Manhattan shore than the Brooklyn shoreline, almost without doubt. But the issue is the engines are not running at all. It's quiet. In fact, so quiet that you can begin to hear the screams coming from the boats that are being attacked by these flying beasts.
Question: is there a possibility to use your possibility to make your boat work in this living land environment?
You'd have to try and make the boat work.
No, that's what I'm asking. Is
being able to use technology that has failed to function is something that Storm Knights can do.
okay? That's what I was checking. Okay, I would like to do that, and I would like also to move the. Wait a minute, I need to do multi-action. So what other multi-action can I? Can I have 2 tries at this?
Well,
then? Can you do the
we're
same try
not in
twice?
combat. We're not in combat rounds at the moment.
Oh, okay.
But the first thing you'd have to do at the moment, the engines are stopped. You're in the cabin. You
Press the button.
you grip the wheel. Make me land. No, it would be water vehicles or vehicle, which would be. If you haven't got it, you probably don't. I don't think the cop does. You're gonna have to make a mind check first of all to be able to work out how to start a ferry. It's not particularly difficult.
Wait a minute. I have to see what that is first.
6 is a -4.
I'm using a possible. Get another dice in here.
That's an 18. That gives you a 5.
5. That gives me 5 plus 7, 12.
Okay. Okay, there's the key, that's the button. You turn the key, you press the button, there's a brief and then it stops again. Everyone who's at the back of the boat, above deck, there's a noise from a hatch that you think probably leads into the engine room, and black smoke begins pouring out of the back of the hatch.
Now, did that feel because my dice roll was bad, or did that feel because of the world I'm in?
You're not entirely certain. What's anyone doing anything as a result of the black smoke?
I'm not sure what to do, to be honest. Where's Wade?
Wade's probably standing still, sort of like in a sort of a hero pose, as a result of him single-handedly pulling 2 full-grown men out of the river, and he's like doing the whole like kissing his guns sort of
I'll
thing.
show you
Probably.
what I'm doing if I can add a new portrait. How do you add a portrait? I've added a picture to my portrait thing in the fancy ground, but then where do I find the actual portrait?
If you open your character sheet and then just click on your portrait, or double-click on your portrait, it should open your portrait.
Okay, just
folder.
click on it.
It's been the same as for ages.
Yeah, it is exactly the same as any other fantasy ground game. Oh my lord!
There you go.
He's got his tidy white is out.
Oh yeah, the hero is in town.
Probably a very proud mother at this moment in time.
Ferry, yes.
While after a few seconds of the black smoke coming out of the engine, the hatch bursts up, and I don't think any of you actually saw Finn, the engineer. He's an older man, portly, his brown hair tied back, and a big bushy beard. He literally the canopy of the engine room bursts open, and he leaps out onto the deck with his now quite heavily harried arms, knuckles dragging, and he's looking around. Sort of, it's almost like he's regressed. He's looking like a primitive human, not a normal man at the moment in time.
Oh my God, Wade! What's happened to him? I'm gonna run over to Wade, point at this regressed man.
Mom, stop hugging me.
Stay clear of him. He looks dangerous.
Stand back. Got this covered. Do we get filled with a sense of, or is it just?
It's hard to explain. You are feeling like you are more you. You are still a teenager. You're not yourself. But the best way to describe it in Core Earth is you're now you, as if you were the hero of an action movie.
Right.
Oh no, you're already out of the water, Professor Moore. He pulled you both out.
Okay.
Yeah, he did pull you both out. And Finn's looking sort of cowed. He seems to have been scared by whatever happened. There's still smoke pouring out of the engine room, and he seems to see Wade standing up to him, and he immediately sort of backs down and crawls away. But the boat is not moving. However, the winged beasts are winging their way in your direction.
Pick up my hockey stick.
Wade picking up a weapon makes you think, well, if you need to, it's probably best to be armed if you can be. Obviously, Officer Reyes is armed. You've got your service revolver, so that won't be a problem. Wade has his hockey stick. Are any of the rest of you armed according to your equipment? If not, would you like to look around the ship for equipment?
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at something to arm
Yes.
myself with.
I don't need to because I don't know what's going on outside because I'm in a cabin trying to press buttons.
How loudly was the Reverend yelling things?
At the top of his lungs.
You heard what the Reverend was yelling, and you've heard his most recent yelling. You're probably also now hearing the screams of the people who are being attacked on boats closer to shore. So, in at least one of those instances, Officer Reyes would have looked and has basically, to describe them, they're being attacked by pterodactyls.
Okay, because the last thing I heard the priest say was human sacrifice, dogs, cats living together in mass hysteria.
You've heard stuff since then.
Oh, I didn't actually hear.
Okay, anybody that is looking for something to arm themselves with, you can make me a find skill check. If you do not have the find skill, then you will just be doing unskilled off of your mind.
Ooh.
Can I help look for people?
You could, yeah. If you find something, it doesn't mean you have to. You're the one that's using it. Right. Now, Colleen. Now, a 1 isn't normally a problem. However, you are trying to find something, and we need a mishap to come out for you for this to occur. It's while you're looking, you suddenly think to yourself, no, this isn't what I should be doing. Since that shockwave went past, at the back of your mind, all of you, there's been this nagging feeling that the local environment is different to what it should be before. There's almost been like a primitive sort of thrum, boom, boom, primitive drums almost at the back of your hind brain, that the hypothalamus where the primitive lizard in all people lives. And it's as you're looking, it's as if something inside Colleen snaps. Can you see that, Skull?
Oh yeah, I've got it.
Snap.
Cool.
Oh dear.
Right. Basically, all of a
Sorry,
sudden,
Mum.
all of those stresses and worries and concerns, it's as if something whispers in your mind. These are not important. What is important is life. What is important is to experience living. Lenala will bring you gifts. She will bring you blessing. Embrace the primitive. It is a better way. It is a truer way. And it's as if all of those worries are just lifted from your mind. What's basically happened is sometime when you have your moment of crisis, you won't necessarily awaken to your own reality. In this case, Colleen has actually had her moment in crisis and has transcended to the living land reality. Now, you will notice that some of your attributes have changed. You will notice that your skills have changed. You will notice that your axioms at the top have also changed. Essentially, at this moment in time, consider yourself a more primitive version of yourself. You're no less, well, actually, you are a little less clever than you were. Some of the higher concepts that you knew before are now not of a worry or a concern. But you are certainly more vibrant. You are certainly more sure of yourself physically. It's up to you if you want to use the portrait off the character sheet.
I like the portraits on the character sheet.
You'll just have to cut and paste it out and do whatever else you want. You're still Colleen. Just think in more Arthur Conan Doyle, Tarzan style.
All right.
Okay. I think it has a little bit of. Actually, there's some comments somewhere else. I can go through it, but essentially, you're still Colleen, but possibly that could be the wrong name. You can refer to yourself as Lena now if you want to. Obviously, you haven't just spontaneously got on a stony necklace, but the one thing that has happened is, as you were doing the searching, that same burst of feeling overcame you. But when it overcame you, all of your gear has changed with you.
Oh.
So you're not wearing blouse and pantsuit or whatever it was you were wearing before. It's literally turned into what would probably be a fur bikini in this instance. But you're still Wade's mum.
Cool, Mum. Oh,
I'll bare my teeth, putting my lips back and snarl a little. I have a totem. What's my totem do?
That's essentially okay. Let's say the totem is something around your neck. So you probably had like a keepsake or a necklace
My
before.
purse.
That's now turned into a sort of a totem symbol.
Can it not be my purse?
It could be, yeah. It's up to you what changed into what.
Okay. Cool.
Now, with that little bit of an invasion of the living land, and hopefully in a way that won't overwhelm you guys, you're all going to get another card. Now, I've shared the Cosm, the living land, with everyone, which is telling you what the axioms of the living land are and what it's a summary of its world laws. Yeah.
yep.
So just to cover those, Magic 1 means hardly anything magical works. Social 7, if you try and use concepts of organisation pretty much above the tribal level in the living land, you risk disconnection. So literally, if you guys come up with a plan that involves, right, in 2 hours we'll do this, and you roll badly, that's a risk of disconnection because concepts of time are beyond what the living land allows. Concepts of tribe are pretty much it. Spirit 24 means that lots of spiritual energy permeates the cosmos. It's a very spiritual place. Tech 6 means very little tech works. All of your equipment should have a tech level against it. A spear is pretty much, I think, tech 3 or 4. A rough-hewn sword would probably be around about tech 6. But in addition to that, there are things called Cosm cards, which are all about to get one off. What these do is they basically represent other of the reality that you're in. Now, they're played just like the other cards, but you play them directly from your hands. They don't really have a combat benefit. Most of the time, these cards will be doing something that reinforces the feel of the reality that you're in. Give me a second just to give them to everybody. Everyone gets one. If you use it, you won't get another one. Hang on, I've just given that to the wrong person.
Where's it go?
I'm putting it in the hand. I might actually, do you know what? Okay, I'll put them in the hand for now, but to keep them separate, let's move them into the middle one. We'll put them in powers. Never threaten a soccer mum's kids, indeed. I've just given one to Professor Darnell. To Officer Reyes. I'm just going to make sure everyone's is in the right bit because we'll do what we said. So does everyone want to, just so we know the sort of thing we got, should we quickly go over what each of your cards could do?
Yep.
There are others you don't necessarily know about or have yet. But every time you visit a new cosm, you will get one of these. And it will be one appropriate for the reality you're about to enter or that you're being in. Hang on, wrong one there. That one there. Now, you don't have to play them all at once. So, who got Primal Instinct?
Not me.
It was Kerry. It was Kerry. So, Primal Instinct. The living land is a pulp, primitive reality. And with Primal Instincts, the Storm Knights embrace the primal allure of the living land. Clothing rips in the most flattering way possible, and passions are greatly amplified during the next lull in the action. Any Storm Knights who have an amorous encounter will gain 2 possibilities.
Okay. You got that?
Dr. Vanessa did.
Hey.
Because it's the living land is all about primal emotion, savagery, violence, but as well as all emotion is heightened in the living land. Who got Perils of the Living Land?
Me.
Play when travelling through the living land. The party must negotiate a dangerous obstacle, such as a massive waterfall they must climb, a raging river they must swim. All Storm Knights gain 1 to 3 possibilities once the obstacle is overcome, based on the danger induced. So these are ways you can directly affect the course of the adventure. Who got the Law of Decay?
Me.
Right, now, hopefully I've been laying it on relatively thick. Who's noticed that the boat isn't looking as good shape as it was before?
Me.
The Law of Decay, everything that is not living decays at an accelerated rate within the living land. It is the will of Lanala that life will endure. And this means that dead things, such as the boat, will break down and fail. Fortunately, Officer Reyes got to attempt to start the engines too late, and the ongoing effects of the Law of Decay were such that the engine was already in too bad a state to be recovered. The Law of Decay card can be played to have that Law of Decay have an active role in what's just occurred. Your gear begins to fall apart and is ruined. Each player must lose something valuable as the Law of Decay kicks in. How valuable that item is your choice, but you'll gain 1 to 3 possibilities depending on the value of the loss. For example, if the Law of Decay kicked in and Dirac decided that Officer Reyes' gun would fall apart, that would be a 3 possibility. If somebody else just said, well, I don't fancy that, okay, my shoes start falling apart, fine, that's a 1. Who got the Deep Mist?
I did.
Right, now the Deep Mist is an ever-present effect of the living land. It's part of their reality. In the original TORG, it was everywhere all the time. And I tell you something for now, it sucked. Imagine how bad it would be in every D&D adventure. You've got permanent fog everywhere. Literally, you're in an area the size of the eastern United States doing an exploration style adventure, and you've got 30-foot visibility. So instead, the Deep Mist only kicks in if I deem it appropriate as the ref, or as a player, you can play the Deep Mist card. And when you're traveling in the living land, your group becomes lost in the mist, taking 3 times longer to reach its destination and meeting additional encounters or obstacles. And you'll gain possibilities for making your task more difficult. Who got Lost Treasure?
I did.
Right, you uncover. So one of the things about the living land, because it's an exploration style, like Arthur C. Clarke, Lost World reality, you will find things that have survived the decay, caches of equipment and the like. So in this one, you uncover a forgotten treasure, item, or artifact. It might be ammo for your firearm, a couple of grenade, sealed MREs, a weapon, a lost object of art, or even a tank with a few working rounds. Work with the GM to come up with a suitable item. Now that's all benefit, so there's no possibility. Who got Dino Attack?
Guess. Go on, guess.
Officer Reyes. Creatures of the living land attack. at some point in this act, all Storm Knights gain 1 to 3 possibilities once the beasts are repulsed, depending on the strength of the attack.
Play
do we just play these cards like now, or what
You can
playing?
decide when you want to play them. If it's not appropriate immediately, then I'll just keep it in mind and I'll make it appropriate at a later point.
There we go. Let's have a dino attack.
Right. Well, you're going to have one anyway,
Yeah, well,
but that means you're going to have
2
more of them.
Oh,
So that's there. Cool. Dino attack is not a problem. That's good. So that bit, that's an aside. You've all got those cards now. You can choose when you want to play them, and as I said, they'll have a direct impact on the flow of the game. So don't play them all at once because it's going to be really hard to work out. You'll get those bonus possibilities depending on the strength of the attack once it's been repulsed. But you were searching the ship. Now, Colleen didn't do very well. She got a 1. Can scroll back up. Now, the Reverend, you were searching the ship. You got a 4.
Yeah.
Now, you're not a particularly combative character. So what I'm going to say is that while you were working yourself up into a religious frenzy, up on the upper deck of the ship, while you were screaming and sermoning to your heart's content, extolling the apocalyptic vision of your god's religion, you as well were. You had that moment of crisis that everyone else has had. Again, as a man of faith, yours is slightly different because you suddenly feel closer to your faith, as if you've just gained some certainty of your belief that just enables something to crystallize in your very being, in your soul, in your spirit. And I'll share your new version of the character sheet. Now, those of you that are getting the new version of your character sheet, please pay attention to the new perk or perks that you have and do the changes accordingly. For example, Lena no longer has the linguist perk. She has 2 completely different perks. The Reverend has gained a very useful perk that will probably shake his faith to the core of his being, because he's never been able to do stuff like this before.
oh, you do better.
You don't lose skills you had before whenever you get the update?
It depends. Some do. For example, Colleen's original character had things like language French, language German. They've now switched out some other ones. She still has vague memories. One of the things is to remember that you're not a different person, but memories of things you did before are a bit fuzzier. By the way, Lena knows exactly what a car is. She couldn't explain that. She couldn't tell you how they work now. She probably couldn't drive a car without some significant trouble, but you still have that memory of the moving rocks that went across the Black River.
This is my character basically learned how to use energy weapons.
He did?
Yeah. Which I find a bit strange.
Are you sure?
Yep, combat skills, energy weapons, dex.
Oh, yeah, no, but you don't have any ads in it.
Oh, okay.
Everyone can use energy weapons, fire combat, melee weapons, missile weapons, and unarmed combat unskilled. Because most of them, literally, it's a point and click.
It wasn't on the other sheet, so...
Yeah, it's just they're the standard combat skills.
It is in the other sheet, it wasn't in the...
Yeah. I think yours probably changed the least. When you ascend to your own reality, there's less change. Some of the other guys have got ones that are only appropriate because you've become reality rated. For example, the professor's got a negation one, which lets you stop other people spending possibilities.
Okay. I can now write beast better.
So, Reverend, Professor, Wade, anyone else who was looking for stuff, can you please tell me what your find totals are? Haha, Colleen's picture's changed. Well done. And was the doctor doing any searching as well, Kerry, or is she happy to stick with what she's got?
She's going to grab the first aid kit and then find some cover if there's like a roofed area.
Well, the cabin is roofed, but you can make me a find check while you're in there.
For the first aid kit?
Yep, the first aid kit's in the cabin.
I would have thought it would be well labelled.
Yeah, no, you find the first aid kit. It's if you find anything else in the cabin while you're looking. Starting with the Reverend, who got a 4 on his dice. What's your find skill total?
8.
Okay, that's a fail.
Yeah.
But you do manage to, in your searching, again, with the ongoing, seemingly, when you look away from something and then look back, it's decayed more. It's like you're not seeing things decay in front of your eyes, but when you look away and look back, sometimes they've decayed to a further degree. You manage to essentially get the arm of a chair, just or you're looking, it just comes away in your hand. That's a makeshift club. So if you decide to use that, you've got a club or improvised club with a damage of strength +2.
Well, yeah, but I mean, my unarmed attacks are actually probably better than that.
Possibly. Doesn't mean you have to use what you found, but you can now use an armed attack, which will do the same strength. Professor Darnell, what was your find total?
Not very good. I rolled a 7, so that's a -2. And find is on.
It's on mind if you don't have the find skill.
So I have 9.
Okay, that's almost a success.
No, I have the find skill, so that's 11.
Then that's a standard success. You were about to find a Met's bobblehead, which is of no practical use at all. And instead,
Can I play the lost treasure?
You can do if you wish to.
Is it useful?
It may very well be. It may very well be. Gaz disconnected. It's okay. So we'll deal with him in a bit.
All right, then I will play it.
Okay. Just drag it or do whatever you need to do to use it. But you're finding the lost treasure. So basically, what you're finding, you decide to head down into the engine room. And the first thing you notice is, well, okay, you find out sort of
I didn't
stand out
from the power, right?
That's fine. That's cool. So you found a fire extinguisher, which you think, well, it might be a bit heavy. I could use it for something else. However, in the process, as you pick up the fire extinguisher, there's a clunk clunk from behind it, and you note what must be Finn's hidden sidearm, and you found a .38 revolver as well. So it's Tech Axioma 20. You can write this down on your inventory.
Okay, one sec. So that's
.38 revolver.
.38 revolver, yeah.
It's Tech 20. You're literally looking at the sort of line with a six in the chamber.
I just write this all down, like Tech. Sorry, you said
20.
20, okay.
Damage 12.
Yeah.
Range is 10, 25, 40. Essentially, it's either easy, difficult, or harder to hit within those range increments. And it's got 6 ammo. It's got full ammo. In fact, you find a box of 38 shells on the shelf next to it. So it's got 6 ammo in it, of 40.
Okay. 46 ammo.
Colleen disconnected and became Lena. So she found nothing. But you do. I think is there a spear on your inventory on the character sheet?
No, oddly. Oh no, there isn't actually. I have nothing.
I thought there was on the equipment. Oh no, torch and totem. Actually, look further down, probably under weapons. Oh no, it's just unarmed combat.
Yep, I'm armed with my teeth and ferocity.
Wade, what was your total?
He's disconnected.
Oh, he is disconnected, isn't he? Yep. Dr. Demasalang, what's your find total? Sorry, was when Skellen came back. I read that as Gaz came back.
15.
15. That is a good success. It's a difficulty 10. Standard would be anything up to 14. 15 is a good one. You find a fire axe. When you're basically
16, if it makes any difference.
No, it doesn't. You need to go up to a 20 to get outstanding. Yeah. So in the cabin next to the the first aid kit that's been taken off the wall, there's actually a sort of quite a hefty fire axe.
Oh, shout. There's a fire axe in here. And acquire the first aid kit.
Okay, yep. It's actually a sort of a proper, decent emergency aid kit. It's not a simple, like basic one. It's quite well stocked. You think it's part of the requirements to have something like this on a municipal ferry. If you're interested, the fire axe is Tech 16, damage strength +2.
Can I give it?
You can elect to give it to anyone you want. Just because you found it doesn't mean you're the one that has to use it.
Well, I'm pointing it out, and anyone that wants it can have it.
Lena could use it. It's one of the benefits you've got as a Storm Knight. Once you get to that point, you can use things that exceed your tech axioms or any of the axioms. It's just you run the risk of disconnection, this inability to do things that go against reality if you roll badly on it. Doesn't mean you can't use it, and it's a fire axe. It swings quite well, so Lena's more than happy to take that to use if she so wishes.
I'll try it. Yeah.
It hefts quite well. So that all probably took about no more than about 2 or 3 minutes. Lena's transformation, her son's oh my lord, what's happened to mum, and then subsequent running away to hide in his room, which is why he's disconnected. And everything you find. Where are you gathering? Because you can see these creatures beginning to get to within range.
Well, we could do with stay. I'm staying next to my offspring. God, anything steps close to him, I'm going to whack it with a fire axe.
Now, at this moment in time, I'm only really using the combat tracker in order to. Right, so that's how do I lock the icon scale? That's it, isn't it? Layers, close window, pointers, sharing, selection modes, drawing. Come on, scale. How do I lock the icon scale? It's under layers, isn't it?
Lock icons.
Yeah, no, it's not disable links.
I'm not sure what you mean.
We know you can resize the icons until they're at the right point, and then tell it, oh, that's the icon size I want on the map.
Oh, it's somewhere in the radial menu. I've not done it for a while though. You might need to have the grid on for it to give you the option.
Okay, let's try set the grid. So that's 3 meters, so that'll be 1/3 of a grid square. That one. Okay, probably about right. Now, where do I do that? Layers? No. Ah, right. Lock token scale. So Dr. Vanessa is in the cabin. Where are Lena and hopefully when Gaz comes back, Wade?
Well, I think did Wade pull some people out of the water, so we'll be wherever that happened, I guess.
Okay, Gaz is back. Is he not talking? Yeah, that's him reconnected.
Nice internet, guys.
I think computer overheated and crashed down.
Okay, where's Officer Reyes?
I'm still in the cabin because all I did was press a button and then that was it over.
Okay. Professor Darnell?
I'm coming up from the engine room.
Sure, so that's basically towards the back. There's actually so you will put you there at the back. Where is the Reverend Marcus?
Wherever 2 people have gathered, I am in their midst. That was a biblical reference. I don't know. Where are people? Like, what's the sort of? I guess I'd probably be in the bar. That's where.
Okay, some people in the bar. Essentially, if I put you on, because then we've got, and it doesn't really matter because we're not actually using any of the active bits on this. It's just for positioning. And Wade and Lena were going to be, as you were at the back, so probably back there. Put you there. Okay, just give me 2 minutes, guys. I just need to have a quick AFK.
All right.
Still listening, so role play amongst yourselves. Possibilities could be awarded.
Well, I'll stand next to Wade, snarling.
What's Wade's reaction to slightly changed mom?
He's busy posing, probably.
What happens if your mum goes all sexy on you? You run away and hide in the room.
She's a bit feral at the moment.
Yeah, sexy and feral.
Durak, do you have a weapon?
Yes.
Alright.
I have a weapon that may not be a weapon.
It'll be fun to find out.
Yeah,
You're going to have to explain that one.
Yeah, see from the picture.
It's like Schrodinger's weapon. Does it both
Yeah,
exist and not exist?
until I start firing the damn thing, I don't know if it's actually working or not. I've got.
We still recording?
We are
Yep.
indeed.
Okay.
Did you find a weapon, sorry, Lena? Mom?
She's using a fire axe that somebody else found. It
So
has
we're gonna search for one
technical
for her.
risks to using it, but we'll worry about that. Right, you don't have any maps or pictures. You will in a second. I'm going to reshare them.
Yeah, that means you have to do his find result because he's back again.
Yes, that's a point because we hadn't done your find result. What was your find total? You rolled a 15 on your dice.
That's a +2. Guess.
If you don't have the find skill, it's just off of the mind attribute.
Can you hear us? Because if for some reason.
Yeah, I thought that earlier, whether he could hear us, but I think he can.
Guys, can you hear us?
Oh, is it doing that bloody thing where it's only let me
I might be.
press? Oh, right. So that's why nobody's been answering. So I've got find of 1, mind of 6, so that could be 9, but could I do a possibility?
Of course you can. You can spend them pretty much whenever you want.
I'll do a possibility then, because so that's 15 plus my other 15, is that right?
Yes, so that comes to a 30, which instead generates a bonus number of 9.
So 9, 10, 16.
Okay, off of a 16, as you're looking around, you're pulling up chairs and behind things. Again, you're noticing that while it's not decaying while you're looking at it, as you progress around the ship, it's showing more and more signs of degradation and decay, rust. Some of the padding on some of the seats literally comes away in your hand, which is a good thing because when you lift one up, you reveal there's a sort of a gap underneath a set of chairs towards the back of the boat, under which you find a small survival kit. So there's a flare gun, and you manage to find a flotation vest version of sort of a life jacket. Now you think that might offer some torso protection? And the flare gun's got 2 flares. I'm assuming you're taking the flare gun. And if you're talking, we can't hear you.
I think
Take it out. Yep. Sorry. I'm going to restart. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, no
I'll
problem.
think of everything I found. So it was a flare gun with 2 flares.
Flare gun with 2 flares.
Life jacket.
Yeah, and the life jacket will give +1 armor to the torso of anyone who dons one.
Right. Anything else there? Is it just that 2 things?
That's what you find. By the way, the flare gun is damage 10.
Right. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll get rid of the Discord and start again.
Since he's got this Discord auto starting, can you not auto start it in admin mode?
I would assume so, but I don't know either.
Because my one that comes up with a tick box before we will start where it's in admin mode.
Yeah, mine does. Now I had to set it up though first.
Oh, okay. I never.
Are you back, guys?
Yep. Is it working? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
So flare gun. So what did you say? Damage 10.
Yep.
It's a straight damage 10, not strength.
Well, it's a flare, so you roll bonus damage otherwise. But if you hit someone, it's damage 10.
And the life jacket gave me +1.
+1 armor to the torso.
I'll probably reconsider my position. But seems a bit exposed.
I reconsider my position of being on this boat.
So I'm gonna move. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, before combat ensues, you've got enough time to rearrange your positions.
So have we got 2 lots of dinosaurs attacking?
Yeah, you have.
Did he play his card?
Some. He did play the card. Yeah.
Right.
It gives me possibilities if we win.
Yep,
Gives all of us possibilities, doesn't it? It's just you.
It does give everybody.
It's alright. So the things that we had in our hand, action hand.
For now, they're still there.
So they don't automatically go back to your hand.
Yeah, normally they would after combat, but it's introductory and it's so flowing through that it's not a problem for them staying there for now.
Okay.
I'm just having to just very quickly wrestle with fancy grounds of, yep, you've got to do this before you can do this, 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 before you can do this. Right.
Where's Lord?
The other NPCs are generally they are in the room behind the bar, clustered, so in the little kitchenette at the back of the ship.
Okay, because I noticed on her picture
she doesn't have a gun.
Oh.
On her picture, she has a gun. She doesn't have a gun. Should have mentioned that at the beginning. It's the only picture I could find, but she doesn't have it.
Yes.
Indeed. Hiss indeed. So, as the winged creatures begin to get within visual range, they do appear to be about 6 meters across, at the wingspan of about 6 meters. However, the slightly more disturbing point is as they swoop in close, and there are 6 of them, each of these pterodons, whatever you want to call them, has a lizard man on its back. So a humanoid reptilian.
I will do the age-old thing that the human race does and shoot a bullet at him.
Okay.
Because that's what humans do in this type of game.
Not always. They can do other.
Not in the films I watched.
Okay. Just before that.
We, weirded out by any of this?
It's up to you. I mean, this is strange. This is unusual. This is not what normally happens on a ferry trip down the Manhattan River.
Or does our awakening sort of...
Well, it depends. It's up to you. It's still weird. It's still freaky. You do feel that some of you are slightly more capable of dealing with it. Obviously, your mum does not appear to have dealt with it in the same way that you have. But hey, to each their own.
So we can only play cards that are in our action or pull card. I mean, we only can put them in their pull card
when you do something.
In our turn.
Yes.
Okay. So I've only actually done one action so far this whole thing because the other one failed.
Yeah, you might have actually spent something or otherwise. Okay, Alexander, we'll get into this combat and then we shall call it for this evening. I've got to choose the right thing. We're getting used to the things I've actually made. Right. So, what an amazingly appropriate initiative card. Here they come. It's still only a standard scene. So as Officer Reyes is lining up her shot, the boat's rocking too much, Dirac. So basically, you're having to wait until an appropriate moment. That appropriate moment doesn't come until after they've swooped over the vessel at least once. As they do that swoop over the vessel, the lizard men atop the back of these creatures each hurl spears down at the boat. And as I said, there are half a dozen of them. Do they have missile weapons for that? Okay, so anyone in the cabin, they're going to swoop down past the engine. So just before they come down, is anyone moving down at the back? You are exposed, so you will get shot at.
Oh.
Wade, quick, get cover. Back my off.
Do I hear? Oog.
No, she can talk.
Okay.
Just think in terms of short, punchy Tarzan-style sentences.
Mum, what the hell is going on here?
Referring to yourself in the third person is a wonderful bit on that. So rather than using Lena, or rather than using I, you can use Lena instead. Like refer to yourself by name and that sort of.
Cool.
Okay, so two of them are actually going to throw at the guys in the cabin, but you're going to have more difficulty because you're getting cover. But they are throwing the spears, trying to throw through the windows towards you. So, firstly, towards Dr. Damarsalang. The first one rolled a 10, which means they roll again an add. So there's a bonus number of 20, no, not bonus number, a number of 25. On to their skill, that gives them a 16. Kerry, what is Dr. Damaslang's dodge skill? That's what you use for avoiding at range.
Where is it listed?
If you look on the main tab, it should be listed under defenses. It should just list dodge. It should be pre-worked out.
10.
Okay, so a 16 would hit you with a good success. Now, moments of crisis don't necessarily have to be you doing something to them. It can be being attacked yourself. And in Dr. Dermaslang's case, the spear does hit you, I'll roll damage in a minute because you will have the opportunity to spend a possibility, because you do, at this moment, you transcend in this moment of crisis. Memories of whatever it was you did in the military that's resulted in you not being a surgeon as you should be, and you're now just an EMT, although the work's gratifying. You could be doing so much more, and your mind is briefly filled with visions of you as a world-class neurosurgeon or whatever else it was you wanted to do. And that moment of hope awakens something deep in your breast, and you transcend. You now have the Storm Knight version of your character sheet. The main changes for you are you've gained the reality skill. You are of Core Earth reality. And you also gain a new perk called Bolster. Now, what that enables you to do is, whereas other people can spend a possibility to reduce damage or to do a dice roll, Bolster, you can spend a possibility to negate the effect on the what we call the conflict line, the bit on the initiative card that says standard or dramatic. You can spend a possibility to negate one of the words on there. So, for example, if this were a dramatic scene, the heroes would go first, but the villains would go second and get 2 goes because they have a flurry. With the Bolster perk, you can spend a possibility to say, actually, no, they don't. But in the meantime, you've just been hit by... This spear looks weird. Strangely, as it's impacting your body, you are drawn to the strangeness. It's not a wooden hafted spear. This thing looks like somebody has literally pulled up a bamboo shoot, and the root ball is actually on the end. This thing looks like it's still alive. It's a living plant. And it's going to hit you. I need to know what your toughness is, please. Because it's going to do 12 damage plus a bonus dice. So it's doing 17 damage to you.
6.
So your toughness is 6. That's 11 damage. So
did it go through the ceiling? Did I go
actually, I'll reduce it slightly because it threw it through the window. It didn't get as good a success, so I'm going to say it's only going to have done 6 damage points rather than 11. Because the windows were all blasted out, but you still had enough to get some degree of cover.
Okay, what do I write?
Now, 6 damage is basically, as I said earlier, if you get less than 5 over the toughness, it's 2 shock. If you get between 5 and 9 over the toughness, it's a wound and 2 shock. So at the moment, it's impacted with your arm, and you are shaken. So if you don't spend a possibility, you will take that damage. If you want to spend a possibility to reduce that damage, you can do so and make a reality skill roll.
Yeah.
Okay, so your new reality skill is on your character sheet. The image version, not the written version. And I believe it is to 9. So that 16 you just rolled was for the bonus number for the reality skill, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's add 3 to 9.
12.
Okay, and this is always the same. If you get, it's a DC 10. If you get a standard success, you reduce 1 wound and all shock. If you get a good success, you reduce 2 wounds and all shock. And on an outstanding success, you soak everything. That's all wounds and all shock. So again, there's almost a brief moment of deja vu when there's, for a brief instant, one reality exists where the spear cut quite deeply into your upper left arm. And you've got this vision of blood streaming down out of a deep gash. And then that vision fades and you just manage to dive to the side. And the spear barely nicked your the jacket of your suit. I believe somebody asked about miracle thingies.
Yeah.
You can cast miracle thingies on your action.
Where do I see
are
the effects and everything?
Generally, the effects of them, you'll have to look at the book. But they are in section, actually I keep going past magic and into, there you go, miracles. They're from pages 197 through. You've got bless, soothe, and ward enemy.
Yeah.
So Bless is essentially an area effect inspiration. You send out a refreshing wave of energy to the invoker and allies within range. Everyone, if you succeed, immediately recovers 2 shock. Ward enemy, as long as you can describe the opponent as an enemy of your faith, you can protect the faithful from supernatural beings that prey or seek to harm humanity. What was the other one? Bless, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bless surrounds and infuses the caster and his allies with spiritual energy that boosts their physical or mental abilities. The priest chooses any one attribute and calls upon the Lord to enhance it, and your success gives everyone a bonus to that attribute. And if you get a good success, it increases to a minute rather than 3 rounds. If you get an outstanding success, it's a minute, and the attribute bonus increases by 2.
So which one of those would it be?
Well, it's the villains throwing down at the moment. So
Yeah.
Does a 6 hit Officer Reyes's dodge?
No, I'm 11.
Excellent. You dive to the side. Does a 12 hit Reverend Marcus's dodge?
Yeah, 'cause it's got 8.
Now, what you can do, even though you've not had a go yet, you can elect to do what's called an active defense as a reaction.
Yeah.
That will sacrifice your go this turn, but it will enable you to, at this moment, roll a bonus number and add it to your dodge skill, making it harder for you to be hit. Now, it will never make it worse, so the minimum bonus you'll roll on this is a 1.
Yeah.
But it does mean that you'll be sacrificing your action in order to do that. It's up to you what you want to do.
I think I'll just spend the possibility if I can.
You're just going to try and soak it, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so 17 is a bonus number of 4. What was your dodge?
8.
8, so that's not 5 over, so it does its strength plus 2 damage.
Yeah,
So that is... Yeah, so 12 versus your toughness. What's your toughness?
This is 8.
Okay, so that's 4 result points of damage, so that's 1 wound and 2 shock.
That's still pretty bad.
It could be. You only get 3 wounds.
Yeah.
So if you want to resist it, you generate a reality skill total, which I think you already did on the 14, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's a bonus number of 2, or 1 even. What's your reality skill plus 1?
Reality is... Wait, that's spirit, so...
Spirit plus any adds you've got in the reality.
Yeah, 12... Yeah, 13 then plus 1.
So it's a DC 10, so you've got at least a standard success, so you can negate 1 wound and 2 shock from the damage.
So that's all.
So again, the spear barely misses you. It was as if it was unerringly coming on target 1 second, and then you just last second managed to dive out of the way. Now, thanks to somebody playing a card, there are actually enough of these for there to be 1 for each of you, where it was only supposed to be 1 between each 2 of you. So it's going to be a tough combat. So Professor Darnell is being hit with an 11. Is that higher than Professor Darnell's dodge?
It is 8.
So it's not 5 higher, though. So it's just going to be the same damage as the other one, which was 12, I believe. These guys are strong. They look quite physically powerful, these lizardmen.
Can I dodge it or any?
You can attempt an active dodge, or you can soak it and sacrifice and spend a possibility instead.
So an active dodge would be D20, right?
You'd roll a D20, get the bonus number, and add that to your dodge skill. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you roll that low, because it's a minimum bonus number of 1.
Okay.
Now, remember, you might have cards in your pool that you can use.
I have adrenaline. Yeah, but I don't have it in the pool.
Now, you've only got alertness and flurry in your pool at the moment. So, unfortunately, neither of those is going to help. So that is still, I don't think that's enough, is it? Your dodge goes up by 1. That doesn't exceed 11. So you're still going to take 12 damage. What's your toughness?
Toughness is 7.
So that's 5. So that will be, that's actually more. That's the next one up. So that is going to be, keep losing the page I'm on. Yes, oh no, one, yeah, so 5 result points is 1 wound and 2 shock.
All right.
So you can either spend a possibility to attempt.
I subtracted it.
So you've taken the wound, yeah, or you're using the possibility?
Yeah. I'm taking the wound.
Okay, so you're down a wound. So first actual palpable strike. And now Wade is a 4 enough to hit you?
Oh.
I suspect the answer is
13.
correct. Yeah. And I rolled that off, but it doesn't matter.
Where is that?
And on Lena, actually, let me double check. If they haven't got thrown weapon skill, they don't re-roll on a 20. Do they have thrown weapons or missile weapons skill? Yes, they do. So unfortunately, that is a 31. That's a bonus number of 10 onto their skill. An 18, is that higher than Lena's dodge skill?
I imagine so.
By how much?
My dodge is 11, so it's 7 over.
7, so it's still only a good, not an outstanding success. So it's going to do 12 damage plus the result of 1 bonus die. 13 damage. What's Lena's toughness?
My toughness is... Um, 10.
Okay, so that's 5. You've got quite a high toughness as Lena. So that's 1 wound, 2 shock, which you can either take, or you can spend a possibility to attempt to soak it with a reality skill.
I'm spending a possibility.
Okay.
So I roll toughness.
Generate a bonus note. Just generate a bonus number and add it to your reality skill. So in Lena's case, as long as it's been added to your sheet, which it hasn't been, don't worry. I need to update your character sheet for the new one. Lena's reality skill is a 9. So the DC is 10. So just roll a d20 to generate a bonus number and add it to your reality skill.
-2.
Ooh, might not be good enough. If you don't spend a possibility, you can spend a possibility. If you spend one to soak, you're not going to successfully soak unless you spend a possibility to add to that dice roll.
Okay, I'll do that.
So you get to roll again and add to the 7.
Alrighty.
It's at least a 10 because possibilities are powerful. So that's a 17, not a 13. That's a bonus number of 4, which is a 13 on your reality skill. That's enough to succeed. So you are able to reduce 1 wound and 2 shock, which is all of the damage that you would have taken there. So again, you managed to avoid, reduce via whatever means is appropriate for your description. As the beasts streak over, all of those spears come flying down in short order. It's now the heroes' goes. Some of you will be able to just take a swipe as they pass over with melee. Those of you with ranged weapons can take shots at them as they pass away. It's up to you what order you go in.
I will have to drop out at this point, guys.
We're going to finish after this combat round for the evening. So do you want to do what you're doing first?
Well, I can take a shot then.
Well, you can also... you can do something that's non-combat. Notice there's at the bottom you've got intimidate and maneuvers, the approved actions. If you do an approved action, if it's successful, or even for attempting, so you get a card.
Wasn't he dodging in this turn?
Did you do an active dodge? You did, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. You failed. So, well, there you go. So Professor Darnell doesn't dive out of the way. So if you do need to go now, Alex, thank you for your time. We'll resume this with you in 2 weeks' time for this one. But we're going to round out this combat because it is getting to 11:22 at the moment.
Next week is Savage World.
Yeah,
Wow.
Savage Wars, Wooferup, and then back to Talk the week after.
All right, guys. See you.
Thank you, Alexander. See you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you, John.
So who's going instead of Professor Darnell?
I'll go. I'm going to hit it with the fire axe.
Okay, so you take a sweep. You can't attack the lizardmen on the back yet, but you attack the lacton as it goes past. That's what they're actually called. I'll refer to them as pterodons for the moment. You know,
right.
Not that it really matters that they're called lacton.
So what am I rolling? My melee?
So you're doing melee weapons, and that's against its probably unarmed combat because it doesn't have a melee. So the difficulty to hit these guys is a 12. Right, what's the +9 for?
I click my melee skill.
Yeah, you'll need to do that. If you just roll the d20, because what you actually need to do, it's the 18 is the bonus number of a 5.
Okay.
That adds to your melee of 9.
Okay. So
gives you a 14, which is good. That's higher than its unarmed combat. So as the beast flies overhead, you strike out, you leap up and bring the axe down. You're hitting it. It's not enough to get bonus damage. You didn't get a good success. So the fire axe does strength +2 damage. What's your strength +2?
What do you need for a good? How many more?
You need 5 higher than your target number for a good success, 10 higher for an outstanding success.
How many possibilities have I got?
You start with 3, so I didn't add them to you.
It's okay. So I've got 1 left. Can I spend a possibility to do
Yeah, of course you
more
can.
stuff?
Yeah, if you want to do more of that, yeah.
I can roll
Can
another one and add it to...
If I add 3 to his total, does that help?
It may do.
Would that put it over the extra next barrier?
It's 19.
Well, you've got at the moment. You've got you've had the 18 is a bonus number of 5. What was your skill?
9.
So you're on a 14. Its defense is a 12. So you need a 17 to get a good success.
So me adding 3 to it would give it a 17.
Which would be the boundary of the good success. If you've
Can
got
I
a
just
supporter
play
card.
Supporter? Yeah. Can I
Is it in your pool?
It's in my hand.
You can't. Okay, you have to get it into your pool before you can play it in combat.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So he has to spend the possibilities. But good point. You can do that in a minute. Well, the other thing you could do if you want to, you've got that. So maybe Wade could go first and then followed by his mum. Because then Wade gets to play something into his pool that he can then spend on his mum. I'm fine with you doing stuff like that while you're working things out.
Unless he wants to do something else there. Now, leave it as I'll spare me possibility.
Yep, next time
Sure.
I'll have that sport ready.
So roll the d20 and add it to 18. So that's a 29, which gives you a bonus of 9. 9 on your skill of 9 gives you an 18. So you've hit it with a good success. Your fire axe does strength damage +2, so you're now going to add 1 bonus dice worth of damage to that. So pick up and roll a d6. Now, that's a 6. Remember what I said at the beginning, it's the first time it's come up. The bonus dice actually has 1 to 5 on it, and then another value that is a 5 and a reroll. So that's actually 6 bonus damage onto your damage. So you did a 12 plus 6, that's an 18. Versus its toughness, they're tough with a little bit of armor, but that still cuts deeply into the creature. So a 5 is 1 wound and 2 shock. Now, these things are not reality rated, and most things that aren't Storm Knights or other possibility rated creatures have less than 3 wounds. These things have less than 3 wounds. They only have 2 wounds. I'm now going to fill in the wounds. So you've just done a significant wound to that thing. It's not down, but it is significantly wounded.
Stay away from my young. Shall say.
Take 2 shock as well.
It's me done.
Excellent.
Can these enemies be warded against?
I'm going to say normally it's only supernatural things, but at this moment in time, you're having a theological crisis. As far as you're concerned at this point, they are wardable against, because these are most definitely, in your current frame of mind, creatures from the depths of hell itself. It's not a problem. Won't always be doable, but in this instance, I'm going to be fine. So that the ward enemy and the like would work in this instance. Just so you can also have something to do as well.
Yeah, I can go try to ward one of them off. And that's Faith, which is that's 13. Wait, the bonus I get to that is it's a bit annoying with the bonus thing.
You get used to it.
Yeah. 18.5. Yeah.
The difficulty number's standard. So did you get over a 10?
Yeah.
By how much?
Wait, I got 80, I think. So yeah, that's 8 more.
So you got an 18, yeah?
I got 18, which gives me bonus of 5, and my thing is 13.
Yeah, so you got an 18 total, fine. So that's a good success, which basically means you've invoked a ward. So you're reciting a prayer, clearly calling on the source of your power. While it's active, anyone within 5 meters of you is getting a +2 to all their defenses.
Ooh.
Okay, so you can see the scale on the map. Basically, a square's a meter. So anybody within 5 meters of yourself, and the duration is concentration. So as long as you keep that up, everyone's getting +2 to their defenses. Wade, you might as well go next.
Okay. So can I move a card from my hand into at the beginning of the turn?
No, at the end, unless you've got a perk that enables you to do that. Which
Okay,
reminded me, oh idiot, yeah, the doctor could have done that. The professor has actually got a perk that lets him do that, but we'll worry about that next.
Okay. These are flying, aren't they?
They are, but because of the way combat works, you've got you can do a sort of a melee attack as they swoop past.
Is it better to fire the flare gun or hit him with the stick?
It's up to you. You decide. Either way, I'll allow you to shoot at the same one or attack the same one as your mum did.
I will. As it swoops in and Mum hits it, and as it flies away, I'm gonna I've just picked up the flare gun, so it'll be in my hand, I think. I'll attempt to shoot it and call out and keep away from my mum.
Okay. So this thing's dodge instead. So your target is a 13.
Is this missile weapons?
It would be missile weapons or fire combat, probably.
Okay.
Missile is generally muscle powered. Fire combat is any kind of ballistic.
So can I not use missile weapons?
No, it would be fire combat.
Damn it. What's it come off? Dexterity,
Dex.
strength.
Dex.
Dexterity. And melee weapons comes off dexterity as well.
Yeah. But does strength damage.
Oh no, I'll shoot with my gun because that's what I've got in my hand. So just D20.
Did you say shoot with your gun?
Not the gun, the
Hockey stick.
Hey, no, not hockey stick, with the flare gun.
Okay, yeah, that's no problem. So you roll again an ad because you've got a 10. That's a 24, which is a bonus number of 8.
That goes on to my dexterity, so that's 19.
19 versus a dodge of 13.
Hey, +5.
So
+6.
you do the damage, but you also roll a bonus dice of a d6.
Which is a D20.
D6.
D6.
And you roll again an ad. So that does an additional 7 damage.
17 damage.
Okay, 17 versus its toughness is... Okay, basically the flare arcs up, smoke trailing behind it. It hits the creature full on the side and then bursts, as flares do, and the thing goes up in flame. Screams. The lizard man on its back also screams. Fire engulfs it also, and whereas the others wheel around for an extra attack, this one careens off, twists, and then dives and impacts the water, but doesn't surface.
Call out, game on.
Okay, Dr. Vanessa and Officer Reyes.
I wish to intimidate the creatures. I wish to come out and go what's my find my line. You creatures mess with the wrong city.
Cool.
Wanting to intimidate.
Somebody is doing an approved action. Cool. Now, what are you wanting to achieve with this? Because if you
basically want to scare them away, basically.
So what you can do with an interaction attack, you can either decide, as I said before, you can stymie them, which gives them -2 to all their actions till the end of the next turn, or make them vulnerable, which makes them easier to wound or to affect on their next turn. If you get a really good roll, you get a player's call, which essentially the most basic one is whatever you're intimidating gets taken out.
Well, okay, I'll go for the one that makes them hurt us less, because there's 6. How many's left of them? 5?
There are
4?
5. Are you doing it on all of them?
I have no idea. I don't know how this works, so I'm
normally it's a 1-to-1, but you can do what's called a multi action, slightly different to doing the action multiplier. You can multi-target, so you're attacking multiple opponents at once with an interaction attack. Each additional target incurs a -2 penalty to the test. So, for example, intimidating all 5 Lacten, all 5 of the pterodons, would be a test at -8.
Well, that'll be like impossible. She blew up and got lots of 20s and 10s.
However, you can happily just try and scare one of them off.
I'll just scare one of them off. I don't want to try something that's going to be impossible. It's bad
to let you know it is. That is there as a possibility. So intimidate. Look at that. Keep going. Guys. Keep going.
I hate you, dice.
Again.
Keep going.
I hate you, dice.
That's a 48. By the way, just to let you know, it's if you hit the 60s that you can pull glory effect.
I'm going to go from use my possibility then, because I want to see what a glory effect looks like.
Well, it's only if you've got a glory card available.
I've got a glory card. Can I play it?
Is it in your pool though?
Did I get to put one into my pool?
You can always, at the end of your go, you can always put a card into your pool.
Can I put one into my pool then? And it just so happens to be the glory card.
Okay.
So
yes, you can.
Okay.
So you can spend a possibility. You're on a 48 at the moment. You need to roll a 12 or more on this. Or remember, if you've got other things, if you've got a hero card or a drama card, you can add that, and that's an extra roll again.
No, my card is. I've only got one card, and it's not a hero card. It's what the hell it is? Second wind.
Well, that's not too bad. So you spend a possibility, and you get a 12 or more. You've hit the requirement for a glory effect to come into play.
Go on! Yay!
There we go.
65. So first thing we're going to do is, so you're yelling at one. You're intimidating one of the pterodons and its rider. I'm going to count them as one beast. Effect. Problem.
So what's 65 a plus of?
Right, 65. Every 5 after 50, so that's 55, 60, 65 is a +1. So that's a bonus of 16.
Plus my intimidate. It's 2. Intimidate's 2.
But it goes off of a skill. I think intimidate goes off spirit.
My spirit is 8, so that's 10 on top of that. That's 28.
So 28. Now it's defended by one of their stats.
Oh no, sorry, it's 26 because it was 16. It wasn't.
Okay, 26. That's not a problem. So quite a good roll. Intimidation is resisted also by their own intimidation or spirit. Now, in this instance, I'm going to say that it's the beast is the thing you're affecting more than the rider here. The beast has a spirit of 7, but they are a little bit harder to scare because they have adds in intimidate. So it's a 9. So you're basically getting what we call a player's call on this because your total of
26
-9 is
17.
Which is way more than the 10 you require for it to be an outstanding. And on an interaction attack, you can describe it's the equivalent. You've seen Critical Role. How do you want to do this? But you can now describe the creature's taken out. It is no longer part of the combat. It is effectively defeated. You have scared it off with your intimidation tactics. Exactly how did that happen? and what did
It's
it do?
it's too late at night for my brain to work at this stage. So, anyone's got any ideas? I can't think of anything. My brain is dead.
It gets a heart attack and explodes.
It's a bit freaky weird, but let's say you go out and you basically, your cop training kicks in. Contrary to what most people think about various cops, you don't automatically shoot to kill. You uttered your line, you beasts have picked the wrong city to attack, and you basically fire 2 or 3 warning shots above this thing's head. The proximity that you did is that the creature just rears up, bucking its rider off of its back. That rider falls down into the water, and then the creature screeches and just flies back, and means flying back towards the mist that is encroaching off of the southeast, the south bank. Well done. I'm going to give you a possibility for that as a bonus, but just to let you know now what happens. So a glory card. Now, glory cards are actually used primarily as one of the means you need to take territory back from the bad guys. But they have other bonuses as well. Specifically, the glory card. Play after a die roll of 60 plus to refill the odds in a zone with possibility energy. So that, as the story of how this cop literally shouted down a pterodactyl spreads, all players immediately receive 1 possibility.
Does that mean I get 2?
Yeah, you got a bonus for just the sheer guts of it. And every character immediately receives a new destiny card.
I've dragged one of my destinies into my action pool now. So
you can do that as well. Why didn't that work? Oh, because I didn't press the roll button. I pressed a bit of the... So that is Dr. Vanessa. That is Wade. Hang on, I've got it on the right sheet. That is Lena. That is Reverend Marcus. And it's better if I keep all the character sheets open, because I'm doing so much interaction on your character sheets that I might as well keep them open on side. So that's done that. And while we haven't got to this point yet, at the end of combat, you're supposed to essentially recoup cards back into your hand and then draw down to 4 cards. However, until the end of this act, your hand size is increased by 1. So when we do reduce our hand size down, you can retain 5 cards now, not 4. So glory cards do quite a lot. So well done.
Cool.
And that's another lacton.
I don't know what a lacton is.
Pterodactyl. I'm just using the actual in-game name. So there's another one of them, and their riders knocked out. So you are down 2. Dr. Demasalan.
What would count as a maneuver?
Maneuver is essentially using dexterity or something to get an advantage on them. Essentially, any of the interaction attacks, you're basically going to stymie or make them vulnerable or get some kind of player's call. So you can do pretty much whatever you want. They're very much like smarts tricks we've been doing in Savage Worlds, but it's more an agility trick. I mean, it could be as simple as running to place yourself in a particularly difficult to reach part of the deck that they weren't considering before.
Can I ask you a question, John?
Yep.
Because I did the intimidate and it succeeded, everyone gets a card.
And you should have got an additional card for doing approved action. You have to remind me. There you go. You got that.
I was just double checking because I thought
Yep.
maybe everyone got one.
No, everyone got one because of the glory card.
I've got 5 cards in my hand.
So the simplest level carry, you're basically going, right, I'm going to do a maneuver on that target and we can come up with a description of what you actually do after you've made the roll.
Oh, okay, I'll try that.
So essentially, you'd roll a bonus number applied. The one thing, approved actions, you have to be successful in order to get.
Okay. So now I take a card.
No, you have to pass.
You have to pass it in order to get.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the turn, I add a card to my.
Oh, the 4's not going to be successful on a maneuver. But you do still get to move a card from your hand into your paw.
Oh, I thought you couldn't do that if you failed, because I didn't do that.
No, you can always at the end of a combat round, just taking the action, you can then add a card to your pool. So your pool will always increase in size at the end of your combat.
I've actually got another card then in my action.
Go ahead and put that in there. That's not a problem.
I didn't do it. Use the ones I had.
Just to let you know, on the approved actions line, sometimes you'll get a defend. So that will count as successful if somebody attempts to hit you and misses.
Even if you don't do the dodge.
Even if you don't do the dodge. Yeah. Defend is successful once an attack or interaction misses you. So if you do an active defense but you still get hit, tough luck. You don't get the approved action. Okay, and that's everyone's go. So they sweep around for another, what you think is to be another strafe, and we'll leave it there for the evening.
Cool.
Okay, everyone remember, I've used a special Dino card here, so if we kill the last three, we get more possibilities. Woo!
Yeah, essentially you've got twice as many opponents as you would otherwise have had.
That was until we cleared a couple of them out.
You have taken 4, because each of them has a rider on their back as well.
I high five Mum.
Yeah, she doesn't understand the social relevance of a high five. Remember, you've all got +2 defense as well. If you need to make notes, well, I say anybody at the back of the ship has got a +2 defense, thanks to Reverend Holloway.
I know.
Well, you will do if you get within range. Continuing effect.
I should actually be outside that place, because I walked out and went, "Roar!"
Yeah, you can. At the point, you can move up to your move when you do so. That probably does make sense. You probably, in order, because that's actually covered, the bit you're in there. So you probably walked around to there.
Oh, in the open? Beers, no defense. Oh, so bad.
Because your move's 10. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's easy. 10's no problem at all.
That was cool, John. Nice one. It must have taken an epic amount of work to fit this all into Fantasy Grounds. I think it's working really well.
The cards. I'm so glad the guy came. There's issues with the table that I know of. Like, it's going to be, once you've used a card, I either wait for the deck to run out entirely before I refresh it, or I take the cards off one at a time as you're using them. But then at that point, it immediately becomes available to be drawn again. It's as if essentially the mechanic at the moment is working, that everything's being shuffled. After every single attempt, the deck's being reshuffled. So I've got to find a balance between when to put the cards back in. So, I mean, there's still 23 cards you've not drawn, so
cool.
I probably won't worry until we get to that point.
Yeah.
I'm puzzled by my one of my cards, but it basically means I commit suicide. So.
Yeah, the martyr card. Yes, there are some plot cards within the deck, but the one thing you will see on the martyr card, look at what it says.
Alternatively,
yeah, it's a possibility. But I was trying to work out what would happen if I committed suicide. What happens if you just roll any card, or is that what happens?
Yeah, essentially, you achieve a significant goal and you perish in the process.
It'd have to be something pretty epic, but that card's rock and roll. It's cool.
Yeah, but what I mean is, what happens? Does this carry on to my other new character? Does he get some big bonus because my first character died?
Lots of people have been discussing that on the forums. In the previous version of the game, that's exactly what it did. But one of the core mechanics in TORG Eternity, which I'm not 100% I agree with, is that all characters always have the same XP, because you actually gain XP as a group.
Okay.
So
I
if you
like
die
that.
and come back, you'll always have the same XP. So there's,
Oh.
apart from the martyr card enabling you to defeat anything essentially at the cost of your character's life, there's not really any benefit. I mean, you get the immediate possibility and draw a new card, but so there's some things I'll probably end up house ruling.
Okay. So I should save it when we're fighting one of these lords of the world and kill them then. Just say, you die. I used the card. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, it's a possibility. And what we'll do next, because once you get off the boat with some other bits, we'll start to bring the world laws of the living land in a bit more. Like, what does the law of savagery mean? We haven't actually had attack as the approved action yet. And what does the law of life mean? Or what does the law of wonder have impact on? So, but I hope that was enjoyable. There's a lot more to it. I was expecting the first session to not be an entire act in one session, but you've got about 50% through. And Night Badger, you have got about halfway through. So
it was quite difficult at the start.
yes.
Yeah, I
But
think
just so
it'll
you
be
know,
a learning
there's-
curve of this one.
the scenes are called, you've had scene 1, which is Beachhead, and you are currently in scene 2, Death from Above.